just waiting for it to show up. What is happening? Hold on, usually it
Bro,
starts.
my computer crashed today too, and it was acting all sorts of nutty. Like, very weird. He did.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
When it rains, it pours.
Wow.
He did. Did
Well,
he launch or no? Are we on the air?
no
It says
clue.
live. 44. Hey, what's up? It's the
What?
Adrian. That's quite the intro. My partner in crime is missing for the moment, but I'm joined by two of our sisters unofficially from another mister.
That's right.
Jules, Megan, how we doing, ladies?
Hey.
Excellent.
Good,
Great.
good. Julius, I'm sure will be back any second, I hope. He kind of just disappeared as the show started, surprisingly, unknowingly to me. But yeah, we're going to rock this thing.
The Age of Men podcast, the women take over.
Hey.
Oh,
that's
no.
it. I'm just saying. Done it before.
We're good. Good women. Don't worry.
They're all right.
Excellent.
They're all right.
We're
So,
right.
I see Ruel out there. I see the Doc. How you guys doing? Anybody else in the chat I'm
What are you
missing?
doing?
We both have natural hair colors. Don't worry.
That's right.
Grace?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
We
Speaking
don't have-
of which, Megan,
There's
that's a good
no fake
transition.
anything, by the way. No fake anything.
Ooh. Well, that's good too. Megan, that's a good transition. You said you have a list for us this week, right?
Yes.
You don't got to get into it just yet, but that's to bring the audience up to speed. A list on what?
So last week we went over a list of what some women put as like red flags in dating and stuff. She seemed like a feminist though. And then, places like where not to go to on a date. I have my own revised list from a Christian girl's POV.
Okay. Well, since
Can't wait for that.
since
We'll get
Julius
into that
usually
later.
leads the
Stay
shows,
tuned.
he's the one that organizes these shows and really is the man behind the scenes for us. He holds things down for us. The fact that he just disappeared on me as the show started, surprisingly, I don't necessarily have an itinerary in mind. So why don't we roll with that, Megan? Go ahead. Roll into that.
Are we able to pull up the list from last week? If not, that's fine.
If you can. Can you? Do you know where it is?
I'm not sure.
I have no idea, so don't ask
let's
things you
see.
can't do. Because
Let's
I
take a
am
look
terrible
up.
with tech. The answer is almost always going to be no if you ask me something to do on the computer.
Let's see. Let's see if I can try to find it on here.
I love that honesty, though,
If
Nick.
not,
I'm just telling you
that's
right now.
fine. If not, that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Grace, we missed
Um,
you last week too. You're one of the family out there. We appreciate you all
What's
the time.
up, Grace?
Okay, so I do remember some of it. Like, so some of them was like, I'm trying to remember. Like some of them like from a guy's POV, some of them from a girl's POV. So here's just a little bit of mine.
Yeah.
If for a first day from a Christian POV, if he takes you to a bar, if he first asks to go over to his place, specifically, if he asks you to go over to his place after 9 p.m., if he doesn't, I know that's the start of booty call hours, is what I call it. If he doesn't hold the door open or like open anything for you, just like basic chivalry, I guess. If he doesn't dress well for the occasion, like if you're taking out to dinner and he's wearing like sweats and a pair of like a shirt and stuff, it doesn't matter. Like you can be like not in the best financial situation, but like still know how to like look your best. Like if I know you could have done
that said, Megan, you could be in the best financial situation and dress in sweats like a bum, like I often do. Just be aware.
In other words, there's no excuse. Like, and it's not even that. It's more so like when you could tell somebody could have done better, but they just don't. Here's one. If he invites you on a date the day of, like you're just an afterthought, you just think that that proves how little he thinks of you. And here's why. Like he thinks you're just always going to be free, that you're desperate. I'm like, so if he'd ask you and it's like the day of, always say no and just say like, you have something, like create whatever excuse it is, because he's under the impression that like you're desperate. You always have, like you're always going to be free. So,
See, I got to push back again, young lady. I know I'm always like, this is like older brotherly pushback. I hope you realize by now. Like I'm only doing it, take it or leave it. But
I do have like an example for this. I feel like you didn't explain it the best way.
Well, I think you young ladies often are thinking these, or even older ladies for that matter. I don't know. You guys are thinking these kind of things like you're going to seem desperate or whatever, and that's honestly oftentimes not true, and it actually could be like, wow, she seems really cool and into me. I like her too. She drops what
Again,
she's doing
I
to hang
guess-
out with me. That's
I guess
cool.
Yeah.
it's also like arguing
Especially
with like
last
what we
minute.
talked about last year, like or not last year, last week. Sorry, I was thinking last week. Where it's like, where do you draw the line between wow, she's really into me, or wow, she's that desperate? Like, where's the line in that?
I guess it
Well,
depends.
women aren't really desperate for male attention, so I don't necessarily think they're ever desperate like that. I don't think we're thinking that too often, to be honest. You don't have to
I
worry
mean,
about it too much.
At least give me like a 2 or 3 day notice if someone wants.
No,
to
I hear you. I hear you. It's best to.
I mean,
give
that
them-
would be great, 24 hours at least. But
Yeah, no, advance
sometimes,
is
you know.
definitely the way to
Time
go.
to do our nails. Time to do our hair.
But I wouldn't just simply like not accept a date offer out of fear that you're going to seem desperate. If you're available and able to do it, and you kind of want to, I would just maybe do it if it seems like fun.
I've been told, at least from the experience, that they appreciate more when it's last minute and I'm available right away. So
That's
it's
what I'm
like,
saying. Like it's like wow,
You know what I mean?
she's
So-
down to drop what she's doing to
Ready?
make time for me. Yeah,
yeah.
and
There's a video that talks about this, and I can like send it to you, but she explains it better and stuff. But I do have like a little bit of personal experience just because FSU. Next one, if he drinks a lot on the date, so that goes both ways for men and women. I don't think strong intoxication is attractive if a guy like drinks a lot and he gets like so drunk. Here's one: if he doesn't pick up the check, but he's the one who invited you.
okay. Isn't the man kind of always expected to do the initiation and invite?
I was
I know
gonna
we live in
say,
we live in 2023.
Do you like ask guys out on dates?
I do.
Megan?
I mean, this is part of me where it's like part of me is like a little bit more traditional. Like I always let the man make the first.
Well, then he's always going to have to pay. So I asked that to ask this.
The most I'll do is like
What are you doing in return for him that makes it a worthwhile value exchange?
like I don't know. First,
Why do you
like,
get all this money and stuff and these free dates?
not so much that, but like something I usually do and stuff. It's more I usually call this like the icebreaker, where I would like invite him to coffee. Not really much like pressure there, but it's not something I wouldn't do with like one of my close friends and stuff, like one of my best friends. Like coffee's no nothing crazy.
No, but what you're saying
Why
is
do you
traditional.
report,
You want the
like,
traditional guy that pays and is chivalrous, holds doors open and whatnot. What are you expected to do on your end of the bargain in the traditional role as the woman?
How so?
What are women expected to do
Like, how
in
do
a
you
traditional
respond?
relationship
How
that
do you
makes it an equal
respond?
value exchange? Why would I give this effort and this money and this all this unless I'm getting
I mean-
something worthwhile in return?
I mean, you're not gonna ask somebody. Well, I guess in my defense, like you wouldn't ask somebody like you don't know, like or not like don't know like that well. It's like
Megan, what I'm saying is if you're trying to get with a man, what are you offering in return for the things you're expecting from him?
I'm trying to like figure out like how to like answer that perfectly from like personal experience.
No, you don't have to answer from personal experience. Like you could answer from like just theoretical, like going forward or what you want to do or you don't have to answer from your just like I ask this to young ladies all the time because I never get a good answer. Like I don't think you guys are brought up to think of anything but being princesses that are expected to be given the world for nothing.
I haven't
Sitting there looking
I have
pretty,
a new idea.
staring at you.
For nothing. You guys
I have
are
a
just
new idea.
princesses.
I have a new idea.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, in our defense, God calls us, princes and princesses, in His eyes. So
Yeah, but God says to submit to your man.
men also say He also says, "Men love your wives. Don't be harsh with them.
Yeah,
Lead-
love
lead
your
in the
wives like I
lead in
love
the
you.
There's nothing
but-
wrong with submitting.
But,
Lead your
but you don't
wife-
submit to us. You don't do
Lead
what we
your
want.
wife. Lead your wife like Jesus would lead. Some men.
But
lead
you guys don't submit to men.
Here's
I
my
do.
argument. Okay, women do want a leader, but they want a leader who can lead the way God led, not the way
Right, but you
Fidel
guys don't
Castro
submit.
led.
You don't submit. You guys
Because
you guys claim you want a leader, but how can a guy lead if he's not being submitted to?
That's a good point.
Because we want a leader
Valid.
who's more like Jesus, not Fidel Castro.
How does he become a leader if you're not willing to offer him submission, follow him?
I guess
Correct.
a lot of it comes out of fear and stuff. Like
No,
fear of, like,
I know
having
where it
to-
comes from, but honestly, Megan, I don't really care if you have an answer for this. You guys should try to figure this out if that's what you want, a leader, because a guy is going to beat his head off the wall too many times trying to lead a woman who's not willing to submit to his leadership until he
Correct.
stops doing it.
Yes,
I
he's
guess-
gonna eventually get
I
tired
guess
of
it
it.
depends, like how.
It's ridiculous.
I guess it's how a man like delivers it, if that makes sense. And I'll elaborate a
No,
little bit.
not exactly, hun, because like
Hun.
it's not he can't earn your submission through being a good leader. You have to submit to a leader.
Regardless.
A captain
Yes.
doesn't have to earn the freaking cruise.
No.
That actually leads me into my next one, one of my next things. So part of it was more so talking about, just like our own like moral values and stuff, especially being Christian. If like the way he describes gender roles and stuff, like the traditional gender roles and stuff, if you could tell, it's more so he craves control more than leading in love. Like he likes the idea of like having control and having power rather than making decisions that he knows is like best for his wife. Like you could tell like someone has good intentions to them versus somebody who just really likes, being the one that gets to call the shots. Like, I don't know. It's just like if you could tell like you just like having that kind of power just because you can rather than, I want to be the best husband for my future wife. I want to, raise my family.
He may not like that. I like your distinction there. I do like that. But again, I got to caution that be aware that a leader must require control to lead properly. It's not that he's going to like it, but he must demand that if you're expecting, again, him to be a good leader.
That ties into what I was saying earlier about women want a man who could lead like Jesus, not like Fidel Castro.
I get it, but Jesus was celibate. He didn't ever take a wife.
But he led in love. He, like I said,
right, because he didn't ever have to control anything.
Like one of his verses was, he didn't come into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Like he saved.
I understand, but he didn't have to control a woman who's not submitting to him.
It's more than just. Have you ever read the Bible?
Yeah, I grew up Catholic.
Are you still Catholic?
No.
There we go. That makes more sense. Now I know what I'm working with.
I don't want to eat and drink my Savior every weekend to be saved.
I mean, I grew up non-denominational / like Baptist. I'm also non-denominational. But what I mean more is that like Jesus was not like some dictator who abused his power that said everybody must bend to my will. Like it's a very sacrificial.
I know he wasn't. He was very benevolent. I get it, hon, but you're not. I don't think you're listening to me. You're trying to talk about Christianity more than listening to me, I think.
Because we're trying to talk about
Jesus is not a man that you would be in a relationship with. Jesus didn't ever have a relationship. He wasn't ever trying to lead women that way. It's easy to try to hold a man up to the standard of being Jesus Christ, but he can't live up to that if he's trying to be your man.
It's because the whole concept of gender roles comes from biblical, comes from biblical times. And
I'm just saying, hon, you're holding a man up to Jesus Christ as a standard is going to lead you to failure. Who could ever live up to
every single time?
I mean, I'm Christian.
Every single time.
Who could ever live up to Jesus?
Setting expectations leads to failure every single time.
Especially if you expect him to be something like Jesus.
Obviously, I'm not going to date Jesus himself. I mean, no.
No, because Jesus didn't date.
Jesus has a set of standards. Because the whole thing about wives.
He's an example for sure.
God talks more about a husband's role than he does a woman's role.
Wait, what?
It's like saying
in the Bible, God talks more about a husband's role than a wife's role.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're supposed to be leading, so there's a lot of responsibility and shit we got to know.
To summarize part of it, it basically talks about like don't abuse your power. And the reason I say lead like Jesus did, not like Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro, he's a man who was very selfish, greedy.
Hun, we get it. You don't have to explain that anymore. I get it. You don't want a tyrant. You want Jesus Christ. But that's a little extreme.
You'll be surprised. I've been to Florida.
I would be surprised if you ever found anybody damn near Jesus. Yes.
I mean that one dude at my university who's very, very Catholic, who's the short king.
That's not a good idea to have this image in your head of these men, Megan. They're going to fall short of that. They're going to disappoint you at some point.
Not Jesus. I'm not looking for a Jesus Christ. I'm looking for a man of God. Like you can tell.
Then there's a difference.
Okay, but there's a major difference. And a man of God requires you to submit to his leadership if he's going to be your man.
Yes.
And if you were a woman of God, you would submit.
I'm not going to submit to abuse.
Nobody's talking about.
That's what a man protects you from. He would never abuse you, a good man.
Hopefully, you would.
You women nowadays are made to think that men are generally abusive that more than not, and now like you're so scared to submit that because you're going to be abused. Most men are not abusive. Most men protect women.
But we're so scared to fall. A lot of them are so scared to like fall into that and being in a situation where they can't get out.
Mm.
Yeah, I get that, but you can kind of, there's red flags from the beginning if somebody's going to be aggressive
There
with
is.
you or disrespectful of you or let alone
Woo,
abuse you.
there he is.
And especially if your dad's around helping you like decide the mate. Julius, I was worried that you may have fallen and not gotten up. Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. You all right, man?
Aw.
Nah, because first of all, I just want to say sorry to everybody watching. This is very unprofessional. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay.
But
Very
this
good.
Bluetooth, whenever the volume is up really like high on this Bluetooth, it's almost like when you play speakers or play music very loud and it blows the speakers
Yes.
out.
Mm-hmm.
When the volume is kind of high, like not all the way up, but when it's like just close enough and people start talking, it like blows the speaker out. So it messes up the whole connection. It will shut down.
Oh,
Therefore, it's shutting down everything else, the
everything.
internet and
We
all
gotta-
of that.
We got to stop
Wow.
using that speaker, man. This week I'll help you figure out an alternative. We'll come up with something. It's
Yeah,
causing us
no,
too
I
many
just-
problems at this point. Don't worry about it, though.
Yeah,
Don't stress.
it's great to life alert. I just gotta keep the volume down. I can't keep the volume up. I gotta be a landlord to my Bluetooth. I gotta keep the volume down. You know what I mean? So,
And you can't go without the Bluetooth at this just for this show.
no, so I don't want.
I understand. No, I get it. I get why you can't. But let's get into it, man. We've been waiting long enough.
Well, let me just say real quick. I have a slight disability with my ear, so I have to use the Bluetooth. Otherwise, I can't hear.
I understand. You know, you've told me before, but nobody cares about our technical details. Let's get into the show.
So, anyway, it's a struggle, man, because this is the reason why we ask for support. Maybe we can get a studio one day and have to
Exactly.
deal with all this bull
Mm-hmm.
crap. So
The quality will be much
Um,
better if and when we have a budget. That's a fact. And
For
every
sure.
penny that ever comes in will go to the show.
Absolutely.
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you everybody who's tuned in, who's watching. Please share this out and tell your friends to tune in. If you have a Facebook,
Tap that
I don't care if you got
Tap
Yeah, I don't
it.
care if you got 5 friends, 10 friends, 15 friends. Share this out and say, hey, you guys got to check this podcast out. Watch this. It's pretty dope. Chime in. Let's have a conversation. Share this out to your friends and family, whoever. If you're watching, this is also live on Rumble as well. So those who are watching on Rumble, appreciate you guys for watching. Share this out so folks can watch in. We're having a great discussion about single mothers. I know it's a red pill. No, it's a conversation that's always had, but I think this is different because we're actually going to go more in depth into it. So we do appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're not subscribed already. You can also follow us on all other social media platforms. Links are down below. If you want to donate to this channel, because we are 100% viewer funded, the links are down below. Any questions you guys have, you can always email us or you can DM us on Instagram.com/Age of Men podcast. And we appreciate you chiming into the chat. So appreciate you guys. With that being said, I don't want to interrupt the conversation you guys were having. So continue that and then we'll go on with the single mother conversation.
Well, before I lose sight of this, Megan, what was the point I was trying to make to you about the submission thing? I want to make sure you're following. You don't know? I didn't think so. So
I'm doing 3 different things. I'm like watching this and like participating in this, listening to Julius. I'm also doing an assignment for my U.S. intelligence class.
Age of Men needs your full attention.
Yeah,
No,
so here's what you
I
should
have like
do.
4 different screens right now on my computer.
So put the assignment just to the side for a second and then just talk to us. We have a conversation.
Get your priorities straight. Fuck school. You're on the Age of Men, okay?
I graduate this semester. I have
Fuck
only
that
one more.
school.
You don't
No,
need
so Megan,
college. You don't need college. You need a husband. No, but anyway,
that's what I'm trying to tell. So Megan, that's what I'm trying to get across. Like,
Circling back, here we go.
you
I
said
just
you
wanna
want a
help
leader,
children.
correct? You want a leader, as most women do, justfully. How do you expect him to lead you if you don't submit to it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to submit to my husband and stuff. I mean, right now I'm not in a position to. I mean, I don't have a husband to.
Well,
to
how
right
does
now.
he become your husband if he can't lead you before then, by your submission?
He has to show me with godly behavior.
So you're going to wait to submit to him until he proposes and makes you his wife.
Well, I mean, God says submit
You're
to your
never
husband.
going to get a husband that way.
God says submit to your husband, not your boyfriend.
You're never going to get a leader husband that way. You'll get a beta simp or whatever or something at some point, but the leader husband you want will never tolerate that.
But the goal of actually dating is supposed to be, if you're a Christian woman, it's supposed to be marriage. So that's the goal. So you are kind of submitting to your husband if you're submitting to your boyfriend, because the goal eventually is to marry them. Yes or no?
Of like a situation.
Why wouldn't you submit to your boyfriend? You want to wear the pants?
I mean, he hasn't really. No.
That's what I thought.
But isn't it funny how when women say, "I won't submit to a man that's worthy," but that shows that men have to prove something. What do women have to prove?
Nick was just saying
That's what I was
getting
getting at, Julius.
Yes.
That's exactly what do you women offer in return
Now I know
for all
what-
the stuff that us men are supposed to do?
That reminds me.
Megan, please answer that. I've been trying to get you to answer for 20 minutes. You're avoiding it, I think.
No.
Or you're not hearing me.
Nick, no one's yelling at you. No one's yelling at you.
I'm not saying you're yelling. You're avoiding my question for 20 minutes now.
That doesn't happen. We ask you a question and you give us a whole essay. Of like,
What are you offering in return for all these things on your checklist that you want a man to do for you? What makes it an equal value exchange that makes a man want to contribute and be in that give and take?
Like, if some guy were to marry me, what do I bring to the table?
Not marry you. If you start dating, if he's supposed to be chivalrous and pay for dates and all that stuff, what do you do?
I mean, I'm a selfless person. I'll do stuff in return for.
You know, like what specifics? Because you named a checklist of the specifics he's got to do.
Like,
You got one?
I'll invite him out and I'll pay for whatever it is that we're doing and stuff. Like, I'll pay for.
How about you clean for him? How about he doesn't need that? How about you do like some womanly things? Cook.
Yeah.
I mean, I can cook really well.
Yeah, but
what Nick is saying is that you have a list from men, but what is the man's list from you? That's what we're trying to get across. Like, what are you bringing to the table? If he has to do all X, Y, and Z, what is your A, B, and C?
I mean, I can cook for him like once or twice. My family did.
Dude, you guys are princesses. You're raised to be princesses now, and you've admitted it before. Well, God wants us to be princesses, so I guess you're princesses that are expected the world to do for doing nothing. And you're gonna die alone and sad that way, girls. I'm just telling all you girls out there, like, no, men would rather be alone than deal with a woman that is expecting the world and not offering shit in return for it.
Yeah, that's.
Why would I do that?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's true.
It's ridiculous.
Don't expect a man.
Who are you guys? Why are you guys like this shit don't stink, or you're like so fucking? No. You guys got to get over yourselves at this point. I hate to be this blunt, but like it's just ridiculous.
No,
this is why men and women aren't getting together.
Yes.
It's not for lack of trying on the men's part. It's the women's possible standards and offering nothing in return.
No, well, the
men are turning gay.
Because of you guys.
Well,
yeah. The problem is the same reason why women are lesbian. But the problem is that women, not all, but oftentimes there's this entitlement attitude where all I gotta do is just show up. And yet the man has to prove his worth. It's like you treat men like you're Thor's hammer. We have to show how worthy we are to hold you in our hands. But yet all you have to do is just be the hammer. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes. It's annoying, actually. It's ridiculous. The ego on you guys. And I know you've been raised to be this way, but like I'm trying to really like get it expressed to you. You have nothing in your head that you're expecting to offer, and you're expecting all these things. Do you not see how that's like ridiculous? Nobody's going to do that if they have any self-worth.
Mm-hmm. Women should propose.
Yeah. No,
we don't want you guys to play the male gender role. That's
we'll buy the ring.
We'll
buy the ring.
Buy your own ring.
Guys, Julius is talking. Hold on.
Yeah. So Rael in the comments said this is why men are going overseas out of the country.
Yes.
Why? Listen,
Mail-in brides.
I knew somebody was going to say that.
But hold on. So here's what I was going to say. Men are going overseas because the women underestimate them. Ooh.
Oh, bars.
Overseas under. Okay, anyways.
Get it? Who's going to tell them, though? Who's going to tell them?
Yeah,
but I think it's a big joke, but it's not funny. It's not funny to us men. We're getting tired of it.
It's true.
They say they're going to go overseas, but most women overseas.
Guys, if Julius is talking, we gotta let him talk.
Yeah, fine. Listen, I don't want to interrupt, but real quick. Speaking of women, I want to jump to the conversation to the main meat of tonight because I want to talk about single mothers. We can go on and on, Megan, about your submission. We get it. You're not going to submit. You never will. So this is why it can be hard to find a man. Your pool of men is going to be so small. So unless
it's the short king at my university.
Yeah, the only guy you'll get is a guy who's gonna validate you in every way. He's gonna say yes all the time, and you're gonna hate that man.
And
And
you're
Yes,
gonna have to wear the pants and lead the relationship, and you're gonna resent every bit of him.
Yep. And so, anyways, so
not
let's
just yes,
move on
yes,
to the main topic of tonight. God bless you, Megan. Move on to the
I just want the
main
short.
topic.
I just want the blonde Catholic short king at my university. That's the only guy I want.
good lord.
Yeah, well, the short king is not gonna come to you if you keep overlooking him. Oh, at the end of the game.
I'll buy him a
Bo, bo,
stool.
bo.
I'll buy him a stool. Don't worry.
To get the short king, you need to be a tall order yourself.
Oh,
I am. I'll buy him a stool.
Okay, so all right, so here's the main conversation, right? The reason why we're all here tonight is because I want to talk about single mothers. Now, the reason why I want to have this conversation is because this conversation has been had time and time again across the red pill universe, right? So I think this is an important conversation because in America, we are the #1 country with children living in single parent homes. 80% of that is of single mothers. So speaking of, I want to go ahead and actually bring up these statistics real quick, just to kind of get an idea of what's going on with the single mother stats. Let me just bring this up real quick, and I will share the screen. Give me 1 second. We're not going to play any videos this stream because we got more tweets than we do videos. So I just want to share this site real quick as soon as it loads.
Ooh, Ruel said Megan has a whole bunch of side dudes. Is that true, Megan?
No,
Oh, he's dead again. He did.
no, because I'm a Christian.
I didn't think so.
There's nothing
But-
wrong with having choices. I'm just saying.
I'm not a slut.
You may sooner or later find yourself having to supplement with beta side dudes if you don't land that alpha.
No. Everyone
That's the sad truth.
keeps saying, Megan, you're attractive. You have options. I'm like, I have options, but I know what I want.
Right, and you don't want to offer anything in return for it.
I want the short Catholic dude.
That does all the things you just said, and you're not thinking about what you're going to do to like make yourself worthy
No,
for him. He has standards too, I bet.
He may or
Any
may
man
not.
of high value that you want will have standards, Megan.
Totally.
I have standards too, and he does too.
I know you just said you have high standards, and so will he.
You know what it is about him that I really, really like? He's a very selfless person. He has godly behavior outside of, because he's studying. He's gonna be a lawyer and stuff because he just got accepted to the law school and stuff.
Okay.
So he's gonna stay here. He's very hardworking. He does service outside of, he does service like with the church.
Okay, and what are you going to do to earn his desire? What are you going to do to prove worthy to a lawyer?
I mean, a lawyer.
You act like you don't have to do shit.
Well,
You never even thought about this? You young women amaze me with this. You said maybe I'll cook for him once. Was that a real answer?
Twice.
The reason I say that is because I've heard a lot of times, like, if you're giving him like, wife privileges and you're only like the girlfriend, he's less likely to wife you up and stuff like that. You're doing all the
Yes, and you're doing everything, and he has no. Men are already disincentivized from marriage. I don't see any good reason. It's all liability, all risk, no reward for us men. So you women acting like you don't got to do something to win us over to marry you is insane to us.
Thank you. Yes.
Insane. Like, there's no way most of us are marrying in general. There's no good reason to. It's all risk. And now you women are acting like you don't got to bring shit to the table and we got to bring all this stuff. Good luck.
Yeah.
Do you think the way that traditional like gender roles is discussed and like how it's described, do you think in a way some women view like traditional roles as slavery?
Yeah, well, you've been programmed to think that's the case. But now the traditional women, the conservatives, often want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be traditional when it benefits them, when he's being chivalrous and paying the bill and whatnot. But they don't want to submit or do anything that they're expected to do in that traditional relationship. You're modern women in that regard. You just want your cake and eat it too.
What do you get? What do you get when you date or marry me? I can cook. I can clean. I'm a personal seamstress because I'm very good with the sewing
Prove
machine.
it. I want that shit before marriage.
Do you want me to hem do you have anything you need hemmed or fixed?
All the time, you could prove, value to me in ways like that. Sure, help my life out. Yeah.
Mail it
And
to
it would be great if you just like had initiative and I didn't have to ask.
Comment down below and I'll
Yes.
mail whatever you need to my PO box in Tallahassee. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm really good with sewing and all that stuff.
That's a great quality that could
I'm very-
prove valuable to a man if you use it for him, if you offer it to him in ways that he
One
needs.
thing I will never do is cohabitate before marriage. You
I
want
get
to
that.
live
I
with
can
me?
respect that.
Give me a
I can
ring.
respect that. But you have to give him signs. You have to give him ideas of what it's going to be like to marry you. It makes him want to go, oh, I couldn't live without her. I want to move in with her. I want to marry her.
Exactly.
Because that's a thing that most men are not eager to do.
I tend to be very slow to anger. I don't start arguments over the littlest things. Like, I'm actually a very sweet person.
That's good. Yeah, you are sweet.
I'm actually
You're funny.
Julius, I'm wife material after all.
Julius. No, I didn't say that. I did not say that, Julius.
I'm wife material
I did not say that, Julius.
Most women don't know how to sew.
That's true, but that's not enough to win a man over. I'll tell you that. Sewing's
I
not
can cook very, very well.
Well, you better be doing it like 2 or 3 times a week.
Like cook sirloins.
To start, that would be great. If you want the stuff from me that I'm supposed to be doing, you do the stuff you're supposed to be doing as a woman. And then maybe I'll consider marrying you someday.
For Christian men, I love going to church. I would definitely want to take my future kids to church and raise them to love Jesus.
Okay, that doesn't really do anything for most men, I don't think.
Well,
I mean, it's good that you want to go to church, but that's just like a default for Christians. It's like, yeah, we got to go to church.
Well, for Christians,
it's a given for sure.
Well, for Christians, we do take going to church very seriously. And
I know it's a default, Megan. Do you not listen to half the things? I swear you like want to take like the wrong message. I'm not insulting you.
a little different than like atheists or agnostics dating.
Megan, did you hear?
No, he literally.
What did I say when I said that Christianity is not going to church isn't necessarily going to win him over? What was the end of that sentence?
I forgot because some people.
You didn't listen. It's a default. So of course you go to church. It's super important. You both go to church by default. That's not going to win them over.
Whether you're Christian, atheist, doesn't matter. It's all the same. Women have the same type of attraction towards men. They look for a certain type of men. It doesn't matter if you're a secularist or if you're religious. I mean, it's the same strategy every single time. Women want a certain type of man. That's just what it is. We have to prove ourselves, and women just have to show up. So here is what I wanted to bring up. I'm sorry again. I don't know what's going on. My internet is like wonky right now. I got crappy.
Support the age of men. Cash App today with Julius or whatever it is.
No. Help a brother out. No,
I'll go back to the show.
So here is the stats that I wanted to bring up with the single mother statistics. This comes from singlemotherguide.com/single mother statistics, and these are the stats when it comes to single mothers. It says single motherhood has grown so common in America today. 80% of single parent families are headed by single mothers. A third live in poverty. So just want to go over, you guys can see right here, single parent families, 10.89 million, headed by single mothers, 79.5. Over 31% were poor. 24% needed food, were food insecure. 45% received food stamps. 20% are unemployed. 9% had no health insurance. And
how many food stamps? I'm sorry to interrupt, but how many food stamps?
45%.
45?
Yeah, 45%.
45 of the single mother houses receive food stamps.
Yeah.
Bro, that's nearly half.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and then 11% did not complete high school. So it says once largely limited to poor women and minorities, single motherhood has now become the new quote unquote norm. This prevalence is due in part to the growing trend of children born outside marriage, a societal trend that was virtually unheard of decades ago. About 4 out of 10 children were born to unwed mothers. Nearly 2/3 were born to mothers under the age of 30. Today, 1 in 5 children under the age of 18, a total of about 15.7 million, are being raised without a father. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, out of about 10 million single-parent families with children under the age of 18, almost 80% were headed by mothers. A third lived in poverty. So I wanted to kind of show the demographics right here, where it showed around half, 51.4% of single mothers have never married. Almost a third, 29.3%, are divorced. About 2/3 are white, 1/3 is black. So,
She back.
so you guys see here, never married, over 51%, divorced 29%, separated 15%, and widowed 3%. And then when we scroll down to the poverty, where it says single mothers are much more likely to be poor than married couples, the official poverty rate for single mother families in 2021 was 31%, nearly 5 times more than the rate 5.4 for married families, married couple families. Families headed by women of color fared even worse. More than 1 in 3, 37% of Black females headed families lived in poverty. Hispanic 35%, white 25%, Asian 19%. So, among all other ethnic groups, Native American female-headed families with children had the highest poverty rate. More than 2 in 5, 42.6%, lived in poverty. Among children living with mother, only 34% lived in poverty. In contrast, only 9% of children lived in two-parent families that were accounted for. Now, the reason why I bring this up, let me exit it here. The reason why I bring that up is because that all factors in when women decide to move on and want to get with a man. And if a lot of these women are in poverty, that would then tell me that the men who decide to step into their lives will also have to step into the role, which then would mean financial starts to play a part in this. And that's something that men don't want to deal with, especially when it's children that's not their own. So the question of the night is, should men date single mothers? That's the question we're asking. Let me start with the ladies first. Jules, should men date single mothers?
I don't see why not. I say as long as you're being transparent and you know right off the bat who you're getting involved with, that if you know that I'm a single mom, if you know my situation, because at least I'm gonna tell you full front, I'm just gonna be bare ass, bucky naked, like this is what's going on in my life, by the way, before anything happens. It's up to you. I'm cool if you say no, peace out and everything, but I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I'm a single mom. I have these kids. I have this going on. Boom, boom, boom. And hey, if you want to still go hang out, that's fine. Again, I'm in this for the long run because it should be intentional. There should be that, that goal, like I keep mentioning, and dating. Of course, I would love to be married. Of course, I would love to have a husband. Of course, I would love to have a father figure in my kids' lives. Then again, as a single mom, I do have to worry about, well, how far am I going to take this whole dating thing, um, so I don't see why not. For the men that are aware, okay, because I can understand there's women who are sneaky and they won't say what's really going on, but for those of us that are completely transparent and the guy still wants to go ahead and try, I say go for it.
I hear you, but just real quick, if you're not aware, the child abuse statistics exponentially increase. The odds exponentially increase when there's a non-paternal male involved in the children's life. So that's a pretty solid reason to just be careful.
We're talking about
Guys,
dating. We're talking about like literally just the single mom and the
so you
man
wouldn't have
dating.
been in the kid's life. You would keep him out of it.
There is a certain amount of time that there needs to be invested between just the single mom and the man, whether he's a single dad or not. That's a whole other thing. There's a certain amount of time that needs to be invested in order for hopefully the mom would be able to say, okay, you know what, this dude is safe enough to be then, into my kids' lives and for my kids
So you're going to have
know.
to keep the guy away from your kids more or less, which I could imagine might cut in on the time that the kids get with their mom.
Yes and no, depending. Again, there's lots of different varieties when it comes to that, because the kids could be little, depending on their ages, depending on their cognitive levels of how they understand. I understand all that, so it really does depend.
Well, also too, to play advocate on Jules' side, me being a single father myself, when I was dating, we did the whole week on and week off. So whenever my daughter was with her mother, that's when I would go hang out with.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
For
So
sure.
that aspect, that's how it does work out. When we don't have our kids, we spend time with that person. But then when we do have our
Yes.
kids, it's all about the
Gotcha.
kids.
That's
So
smart.
I have to agree with that. And hopefully the single mom would actually put that, and she would have to, think thoroughly about that. Clearly, I'm not going to cut into my time with my kids if I only have them on the weekends. You know what I mean? Like, clearly, that's not really.
What if he's got great tickets to a play or a concert or something that you're excited about?
He's very aware that I have my kids on the weekend, and if
Then
he
what if
wants
he's like,
to,
I'm gonna have to ask another girl instead?
then I'm not the one. Just straight up. I just have to be straight
Yeah.
up. Like, look, this is what's
I feel for these
happening.
single parents. I ask these questions like from the sideline with
Trust me.
the advantage of not having to do them myself. So I get it. They're not easy
Yeah.
questions.
No.
But,
And I
yeah, but to be fair, though,
appreciate it, because there has to be, this topic has to be talked about, and these questions have to be asked, because you need to be aware what you're getting yourself into. Like, we're going into the jungle. We're out there literally with our cubs. And I mean, are we just really just going to go with the very first lion that shows up just because he's cute and he's all fluffed up? Like, no, you're going to have to, kind of figure it out on your own without the cubs, while they're taken care of. Like, again, like
Well,
you
lions
said,
typically don't raise bastard cubs.
No.
Just so you know. They'll eat them.
Okay, wrong analogy, but
They eat them.
So to throw it to Megan, you being young, single, no kids, what are your thoughts
Grandma
on
complex.
what are your thoughts on a man? Do you think a man should date a single mom?
I mean, no one's entitled to date anybody. It's completely like up to him and stuff. I guess it's more so like before proceeding with, dating someone who is a single parent, because I feel like it does go both ways. Understand that like whoever you're dating, if they do have a kid, that it's a package deal and stuff. And like you're not entitled to date them. You're not obligated to date anybody, but if you truly want to, and this is somebody like you want to pursue for like whatever reason it is, like, I mean, it's completely up to the person. I say, like, regardless of whether or not she has it.
That's a weak, lukewarm answer. Give us something, woman.
No,
Like what?
I actually agree. No,
Give us a yes
Like,
or no.
even if
Of course,
you
it's up to the person, but
even
no,
because
but I agree
my
with
more
Megan,
so
though.
point is like
Megan,
well,
he's trying to agree with you. You're talking over him.
No,
Yeah, I
no,
know.
I'm saying I actually agree with Megan with the choice thing, because it does come down to choice. Because oftentimes there are women out there that will think that, like for example, Grace said there are single moms that are good and truly looking for a commitment, but just because they're looking for a commitment doesn't mean the man has to commit to her. So it does come down to his choice at the end of the day, because now we can talk about exceptions of, oh, what if he died? What if the husband died? What if it's abusive? What if he cheated? Right?
we're
Those are
not grouping
exceptions.
that into this category.
No.
Right, but I'm saying, but some women out there would make that argument. So I want to just point out there that those are exceptions, but at the end of the day, it's still up to a man's choice. This is the reason why you often hear the phrase, "Women have access to sex, men have access to relationships," because it's up to him whether or not he wants to deal with that. So regardless of the situation that the woman's in, a lot of times, and for these women, aside from those exceptions, you'll hear women say things like, I deserve a man, I can't find love and things like that. And it's like, well, yeah, just because you exist doesn't mean that you get to have love. You know what I mean? Like, that's just bullcrap to me.
Like the way I
So-
summarized my statement was like, regardless if anybody has a kid or not, nobody's entitled to date anybody or have somebody commit to. No one should feel obligated to date anybody, regardless if they have a kid or not. That's just a factor like you just have to take into consideration.
The kids are entitled to the love of their parents.
absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, my dad was sort of like in that position. I mean, he told me like whenever like he was young and like my grandmother divorced, her husband, my dad's bio dad for, being abusive. My dad told me like he just wanted like my grandmother to be happy. I mean, the man that she did find, who's, the man who raised my dad and who is my grandfather, like he was like a godly man. He knew like, what my grandmother went through. He was sort of like in the same situation. Like he had, 2 kids as well. And, they found each other and they got married and they vowed to like raise their kids to love God. So it all depends on the person. But at the end of the day, no one's like obligated or entitled to date somebody regardless of whether or not like they have kids. So I guess hold everybody to like that same standard of like, you're the person that you are, but I'm not, and you're not entitled to, date me. I'm not obligated to date you.
So I'm glad you bring that up. I think it's important to mention that Any man that finds it worthwhile to step in and try to be a upstanding father influence in some children's life that otherwise don't have it, that's
Hmm.
likely noble. That's pretty noble, I would say.
Absolutely.
Considering that, to me, it just feels too risky. All risk, no reward kind of thing. Because if and when she decides to leave, all that time, money, and effort you spent, like investing into those kids as if they were yours, they're gone to like you're a stranger, didn't even know you.
Yes.
Um, God forbid some young kid or especially some young girl that she claims abuse that you didn't do. The mom's gonna believe her over you. There's a lot that could go wrong here, and I just don't see the upside that could make it worthwhile. Not to mention that like she's much less likely to have more kids with me because she already has some. Um, I don't know,
Hmm.
man. I'm not
That's a
trying to
good
So
point.
dissuade
I
people
That's a
from
good
doing
had
it,
point.
missed
but for
out.
me, it's just I don't know.
I
Yeah, I
had
mean that
missed
was just
out.
like my dad's like
Hang
personal.
on, Julius. What'd you say, bud?
Sorry,
You there?
Megan. I couldn't say. I don't know what's going on with my internet, man. Something's wrong. I don't know what's going on, but it keeps like, for example, I was trying to make the screen more tight, like how it is now, and when I clicked on that, it just like exited me out for some
Mm,
reason. I don't know if it's StreamYard or my Wi-Fi. I don't know, but
Dude, my computer crashed today in a very unusual way. Like, there's something weird going on, maybe, because that happened. It was very weird. I'm still dealing with shit from it.
yeah. I'm sorry about that if I keep ducking out like that. I'm sorry. I had missed what you guys were saying. Megan, were you saying something?
Yeah, I was more so talking about like like personal, like not personal experience, but like my dad was sort of like in the situation like where his mom at one point like was a single mom because she divorced my biological grandfather because he was abusive like to my grandmother and to my dad's older brother, my uncle, and how for a while like she was a single mom and then she was trying to like not trying to find love again, but like she wanted to eventually like move on, and then she found like my dad's stepdad, who's my grandfather. And like if you ask my dad, he viewed like he's sort of like in that situation where he was marrying somebody like who did have kids. Well, I mean, he had kids himself too, so it's like he understood sort of where she was coming from, but also he let her know like this wasn't like a charity work. Like he genuinely wanted to marry her because he loved her, and he grew to love like my dad and my uncle. And if you ask my dad, like he pretty much says like his stepdad like is his real dad.
Julius, I
So
was
that's
saying
sort of
that
like the
it's worth
situation.
noting. It's important to note that it's pretty noble, I guess you could say, maybe, if a man finds it worthwhile to step in as some sort of fatherly figure or influence for kids that otherwise don't have it. I guess you could say that's noble when you consider all the risks that are inherent with that. For instance, like if and when she decides to like move on from you, all the time, money, effort that you put into raising those kids as if they're yours, they're gone like you're a stranger.
hmm.
Never see them again. It's not an investment. And then if they claim, God forbid, they claim abuse that you abused them, or especially if it's a little girl, she claims you touched her or something. The mom's gonna believe her over you, and you're fucked.
Yeah.
And
Basically,
I don't see any upside that would make it worth like. That's a very big risk.
This is why it's
yeah.
important to actually use discernment and then commit to marriage as opposed to just fucking around,
See,
because
but
then
that's
you
the
are
other
going to
part that I
find
have a
out.
hard time with. Because, like, if I don't get to be in the kid's life for a long time, but it's almost like I'm hiding from the kids. I would have a hard time working with that dynamic too. I don't know. It just seems
Yeah.
very, very tricky.
That's why I say that, we spoke about this on the live, Jules and I, about when a woman does date, a single mom does date a guy, and she goes, no, you oftentimes hear her say, well, I won't bring him around the children. And so, yeah, you got to know him for all these months. But like Nick said, it's like you're hiding this person. Not saying he has to like
The
show
kids are
up
going
right
to resent
away.
him or going to feel weird about him, probably. They're not going to like
Yeah,
him.
because
Oh, right off the bat.
whether you took time to know him or not, which is fine if you want to get to know him, but the first like you know him for months, but the children meet him for the first time, they're not gonna feel like up for joy, especially if their dad is still out there kicking around. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's like now it's like I gotta call this guy dad when I already have a dad. Like kids know the connection to their father.
For
They
sure.
already have that. Whether they don't like him or not, they have that connection. So when a new guy comes in, it just clicks in their head that he's here for an agenda and not to like actually be a dad.
Well, especially when you've been dating him in secret for months, and all of a sudden he shows up and he's going to be your new husband. They're like, "What the fuck? This stranger? Who is
Exactly.
this?"
Well,
Exactly.
no, it's not
Exactly.
going to be like that either. Clearly, you got to, slowly like integrate him
But
into
metaphorically
your
speaking,
life.
though, right? But however way you ease it in, it's still like, hey, kids, like I'm the new
Well,
guy.
depending on their age, you could easily talk to them about something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like okay, so just real quick, my daughter just happened to see somebody call me while they were visiting me, and I typically don't answer the phone, so I didn't have the phone on me, but she handed me the phone, which I thought that was nice. I didn't ask her to. I didn't say, "Hey, if phone rings, give me, let me answer it. Don't answer it." No, no, no. Like this never happens. It was a significant other, and she was like, "Is this your boyfriend?" And I was just laughing, and I'm like, it's somebody that I am talking to right now. Like, it's just one of those
Yeah.
things. That's all you need to know, basically, because right now it's just at let's get to know each other kind of a thing, and I don't know
Yeah,
what's gonna happen. So
but don't you think that that can still be problematic because it's like the fact that she even
not
questioned,
really.
is this your boyfriend? Like she has a dad out there.
Yes.
Whatever the situation is, she has a dad out there. And then you talk to this new guy. So it's like, what's the agenda? You know what I mean? Like you gotta
No, for
think that makes
sure. For
like
Go
sure,
that
ahead,
for
makes
Megan.
sure.
Go ahead, Megan.
what's up, Megan? What's up?
Oh yeah, I was just raising my hand. I would say it all like I guess it's situational because you brought up like you're bringing in this new person. It's like well they already have a dad. The reason I say it's like it's all situational because like for my dad's like personal POV and stuff because like his dad like was abusive like physically abusive both to like my grandmother and especially my uncle and stuff. They were around like 5 or 6 whenever it happened, and then whenever like my grandmother like married my step grandfather, who's my grandfather, they were I think like 10 and 11 and stuff, like him and his older brother. I guess some like advice like I would say is like from like what I asked him and stuff was whenever it's like like introduced like the mom like would talk about it like first like hey I'm seeing somebody and stuff like seeing them for I guess they don't want to like introduce them like on the first day like oh here's my children all this stuff they
Right,
want
of
to like
course, yeah.
establish like some bit of trust, then they would like slowly incorporate like, oh, we should all, go to the movies together, go to like a park, slowly like warm them up to the idea. But the reason I say it's situational because my biological grandfather like was like abusive, like especially like, when it was like all new, like especially because it's one situation that I don't want
But
to
you
like
keep
even
saying that
talk
word. I
about,
gotta ask, what's that mean, abusive? Like, what are we talking about?
like physical abuse and stuff,
And did it just
financial.
manifest out of nowhere one day, or there was no
Yeah,
signs?
because
It was
usually
over. It started like a year after like they were married. He like wouldn't show up to work. He started like going through like a phase like just not just like a phase of depression because it wasn't until like a decade later that he sobered up and like became a Christian. But like drugs and alcohol like were involved.
well, so the reason
And
why
at
that
that
nigga
point it was and at that point like it was a dangerous environment, for like them. It was like something that happened like in his job and he just got hooked on alcohol. So it's not really
Okay,
something
right,
that he
right.
really saw coming. It was more so like how he was coping with, just like a
gotcha.
very low point in his life. But my grandmother left because I mean at that point it was becoming like a safety
I
risk
got
to
you. I got you. Yeah, alcohol. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so I'm not excusing that, but oftentimes it's like the abuse thing, it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. There always is a cause and effect for everything. And so when the man does get abusive, and again, I'm not condoning it whatsoever, so I hope you don't think I'm trying to justify this. But oftentimes, like if he's going through a rough patch, I mean, Megan, you said earlier, a woman's loyalty is tested when a man has nothing. So if he's going through something, I mean, you talk about behind the scenes, but if a man's going through something and then a woman's like kind of nagging him, like pushing him to the edge, because sometimes women often do that. They'll push a man to the edge and then expect him to do nothing. And when he does something, it's like, you hit me. But yeah, you were nagging him, pushing him to that point. So it's like you're not taking accountability to the fact that you added to the fact that he maybe struck you or maybe got mad or something like that. You know what I mean?
from whenever like I talked to like my because I'm trying to remember like when it was. It was like somewhere in, like my teen years where my father like gave me like more in depth about it because I mean you're not gonna see all these gruesome details whenever like I was like 6 or 7. But he told me more so like if it was just like finances, my grandma like would have stuck it out, but it really became, like no matter
Abusive. Yeah, no, we get it. We get it. If he's
not
beating
so
her
much
up and
like
stuff. Like,
her, but more so like
but
when he
did your dad
started
ever
like
see his dad again, or was he out of his life from then on?
out of his life for like a good 20 something years because he even after like they were divorced like he was still just on that path and he was like in and out of jail for. But if you would have asked my grandmother, it wasn't like, it was more so she drew the line when he started like abusing, like physically hurting my uncle.
Megan, sweetheart, we get it. You don't have to keep saying that.
I'm saying like
That's a
when
deal
he
breaker.
started hurting the children is when she drew the line.
Yeah, I got you, but that's what I was saying. Oftentimes when that happens, it don't just happen out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we always hear these stories that it's a man doing it, man. But it's like, what was the woman doing? I'm not trying to put the blame on her.
No.
I'm saying, like they always say, it takes two to tango. When it comes to abuse, it takes two to tango. I'm not justifying abuse. I'm saying oftentimes when a man does, hit rock bottom, the women tend to keep throwing rocks at him. Even when he's at the bottom, keep throwing those rocks,
kicking him while they're down.
Yeah, so it's
every once in a while you got to backhand a bitch. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not
Wayne Brady.
that.
Wayne Brady.
But I'm not justifying that. But oftentimes the two can act immature, and then one just
for sure
more than the other. But with all that being said, but I'm going to bring it back to the fact that, again, the dating the single mom, because in society now we do have women who, again, I'm a single dad. But her mom is a single mom, she moved on to somebody else. I'm not trying to put her business out there, but oftentimes women will move on with somebody else, and then they'll get with that dude, have a kid with that person, and then that doesn't work out, and now we got men and women out there with multiple baby moms and multiple.
It's like a multiverse, right?
No, it's a polygamous relationship that the women are having.
1-800.
Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
And also too, for both male and female, it is that polygamy without polygamy. And so because of that, the children don't have an identity growing up. This is the reason why I say that I don't think men should date single moms. If you want to do that, that's your choice at the end of the day. But oftentimes, the reason why men date single moms is because they don't have the confidence to actually talk to a woman who doesn't have kids and build something on that. So what they do is they have a low self-esteem, so they'll talk to the single mom and be like, well, she has a kid, she's already had sex, so all I have to do is like, this is what men start to turn into women. All I gotta do is just show up. And then she'll just accept me because I'm there, and I'll just say I'm there for the kids. So they'll lower their standards to go to the single mom because they don't have enough high standards to actually talk to a woman and build a foundation on that. They'll like already step in to, the fact that she already had kids.
Interesting point of view, actually.
This is what happens when people don't know God. Because that was during the time like my grandmother came to know God. They actually came to know like God together, and like after. And this was also gonna like add on because like when you're introducing somebody like into your lives and then you're gonna make them like a permanent person in their life once they get married. If you're like a single parent, like if like a man and stuff, and you're dating like a single mom, but like you truly love her and you grew to like love the child and you're ready to like take that next step and like commit. I always say like obviously it's not like mandatory, but something my dad said that is like a good it was a good sign that show like this man like he really cared about my father and looked at him like as a future son was before he asked my grandmother to marry him. He asked like my dad and my uncle, is it like I love you? He's like, I love you guys, and just know I love your mom, and I love her with all my heart. I would never hurt her. Is it okay if I marry her? Not so much like he needed their permission, but he also
that's like a good move. I guess a good move. But you just said something interesting. I got to ask you about before we move on.
He values like them and values.
I got you. But before we move on, you said this is what happens when people don't know God. I'm in a bit of a frisky mood to ask this. I gotta ask this.
Frisky mood.
For those who are open to finding God but just haven't been rescued by Him or whatever, how do you suggest they find Him?
I'm gonna use this example. I'm good. I'm like better at saying stuff. So part of like how I would say like if you're gonna like explore religion and stuff is how valid is this? Like part of when I'm like more so like debating and stuff. I use a similar analogy to when I'm like debating like pro-life, pro-choice is getting them to acknowledge like the human inside of the woman is a human being more, and then same thing with the Christian argument. Showing them like all these proofs to prove that like God does exist.
Like what? Like what?
How he died on the cross. He can't.
How can you prove that? How do you prove that? I'm asking honestly. I'm open to it. I'd like to be saved.
I mean, I'm not a pastor.
No,
But,
I just when people say that, I feel like for people
the
that
tomb,
have yet to be saved by God,
the physical tomb,
it feels a little
still-
judgmental. So the least you guys could do is offer a way for us to find it if you found it.
everything in the Bible, from the tomb that they buried him before, before he came back from the Dead Sea, how he parted the Red Sea, like every
But Megan,
single.
you can't prove any of this. This is all folklore, right? I mean, it's compelling. It's moving, but it's not provable.
Can we do that in, like, somewhere in, like, next week's video? That can be a new assignment.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't come prepared for this.
I understand what you're saying about finding God. Yeah, people should find God, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't believe in God, which is a big problem. And so you have men out there who are secularists who are getting involved with these single mothers because they feel sorry for them. I hate to say it, but some men feel sorry for them.
I would say
because go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, at least take some Christian morals into consideration, and, like, I don't know, like,
I would even say, like, it's common
They don't-
sense. Even it's not just necessarily.
talk about, like, the Bible says don't have sex until marriage. Think about the pros of it. You never have to worry about getting pregnant. You never have to worry, like, oh, I just experienced this intimate experience. Like, is this person gonna stay with me? Should I have to worry about this, and this?
Right,
If
but
you say
Women
something-
initiate divorce 80% of the time. 50% of marriages end in divorce. We don't have that guarantee as men at all.
Exactly. And matter of fact, I would argue that when men date single mothers, it's like all risk, no reward.
That's what I said when you were gone. Exactly what I said.
Yeah, and especially if the father's still kicking around and he's like there to pick up the child. I hate to say this, but oftentimes when men do get with single mothers while they're raising their child, it's almost like this. I mean, it's always going to feel something like cuckoldy in a way, even if the child.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, because and the reason why I use the word cuckold, so cuckold basically means like a guy who's okay with his wife getting banged out by some other dude, right?
No,
So
either her or him is like enjoying it.
Exactly. So and matter of fact, not even just enjoying it, just the guys that let it happen because men have a scarcity mindset. Like they're not able to speak up. Like this is the reason why when they say men, 1 in 3 men are not having sex, which I don't think they should. But because these men are not putting themselves out there, right? They're being called incels. They're not putting themselves out there due to a lack of confidence. So when they get with a woman that actually likes them because they validate her, then they'll do anything to keep her. Like they'll sell their soul to keep her. So they'll be a cuck. They'll allow her to get banged out by some dude or go see other guys because it's like, well, as long as she comes back home to me,
it's better than losing her. I'll put up with whatever because I don't want to lose her. It's got to be the woman getting off more times than the man. But I've heard, Julius, that the man, there's a lot of freaky, weird, I would argue, borderline it's out there to get off on it, like watching their girl get banged.
Well, this is the reason why we talk about the behind the scenes. And this is what I'm going to add, Megan, is that this is the reason why men love harder than women because they would do anything to keep her. Like they love harder than women.
I can understand that.
When you talk about the whole love thing, if a woman is dating a guy and she's like sleeping with other dudes and he's okay with it, or he allows her to dress a certain way to draw attention, it's because he loves her so much that he would do anything to keep her. Whether that means let her dress like a slut or let her, have an open relationship. You know what I mean? Like
the irony, Julius, of that is that's exactly what's going to lose her, letting her get away with anything. That's the irony.
Adam 22 is typing.
Yeah, I mean, but that goes to my point though. That's my point is that men tend to love harder than women because of those statues. So my point is that when men do date single moms, because again they have a lack of confidence within themselves. They feel sorry for the mother because men have been told to treat women a certain way like princesses. So when they get with these single moms and see she has a kid, they're like, oh, she's doing it all. She's like, no offense, Joel, but she's like Wonder Woman, right? So they're like saying she's super mom, right? Because she has the Wonder Woman face, less tattoos. But anyway, but they'll say that she's super mom, right? So they'll feel sorry for her. So it's almost like the men are not even dating her for her. They just feel sorry for her. So they'll step in just to sleep with her eventually because it's like, well, she's already got kids. There's no need to wait around and wait until
we know she does it.
Exactly. Listen, I got 4 kids. I'm not going to deny that I love having sex. Straight up. Okay? I'm just saying. First of all, I'm a Mexican. Second of all, I'm fertile as fuck. I have 4 kids. So it's like, yeah, it's obvious without me saying
That
it.
is
It's
funny,
obvious.
Jules. You just made me laugh. But off of what Julius was saying,
I don't really know much, but I mean,
hold on, Megan. Do you guys agree with this
Yeah.
or not? Men love idealistically. Women love opportunistically.
Yeah, it's
can you
the
give us an
same.
example?
Think about
Well,
that and tell me if you agree or
I
not.
don't give it too much thought, but
Can you
I
give me
Well,
like an
give it some
example?
thought for me. You're on our
Well,
podcast. I'm
yeah,
asking
let me
the
give you an
question.
example. Yeah, let me give you an example. So there's a Pew Research, and this is not close to what Nick is saying, but it's like in the same vicinity. So this is a Pew Research study that said that men look at women for physical, and women look at men for financial. You know what I mean? So that's how we operate. So when men like women idealistically, Nick made this point in the chat today on Instagram. He said that men tend to look at a woman's past, whereas women tend to look at a man's future. You know what I mean? So we operate different. So
interesting.
when men like women idealistically, we like our women to be, young, fertile, not sleeping around. And women want their men to be pre-assembled, financially stable, got his own car, got his own house, groomed nicely, honest. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And not even that, like off of your point you were saying, a lot of the men just have no standards. They're willing to accept whatever just because they are afraid to lose the girl. Well, I think a lot of that has to, I mean, it's a weak look. You shouldn't accept that, man. You should have standards and hold them. But
Yes,
I kind of get,
absolutely.
I kind of get where they're coming from with that, in the sense that men, in my experience, much of the time, most of the time, will literally stick it out in a miserable relationship till death. They will not leave. They're there. They might be miserable every step of the way, hating their life, but they don't leave. The women are the ones that leave
That's so
because they're
interesting.
opportunistic. They don't love. Men love ideally, like the idea of you forever. Even if they hate you, if you hate them, it's miserable. Women, and I'm not even hating on women for this. This is like necessary for you guys to survive. It's nature. Women
Mhm.
must have a good provisioner and a resource provider. And if he ever proves not that, or if a better one comes along that's willing to have me,
Ooh, there you
I go
go.
to him.
yeah,
It's
that's why
opportunity.
And
oftentimes. And what Craig, I was gonna say, and I know that women can also be in relationships where they're still hanging around the man doing this, that, and the third, because those men have reached a certain point where like the money's coming in. You know what I mean? Like just for the average bum, they may sleep with him, but then eventually move on. Whereas the guy who's actually has potential, they will stick around even when things are worse. So those men are like the top 10%. I mean, even if they're like lower or middle class, or not the high class, they're still obtaining some level of finance that makes them want to stick around. So she'll put up with some BS. So you do have that as well. I just want to point that out.
just to back off of what Nick was saying, I do seek somebody that can provide, and not just financially. I believe as a woman, you want to be provided for emotionally, physically. Like,
What does
I
that
don't.
mean? What does that mean? I gotta stop you, Jules. We hear that a lot as men, but I think we're kind of dense sometimes. What does that mean? Provided for emotionally.
So, for example, because we are emotional beings, we like to be affirmed that you're going to be there for us, obviously by not cheating,
Validation.
kind of a thing. I want you to show me
Oh,
love. I want you to show me love. Obviously, I would
Yeah,
love for
validation.
you. I would love for you to. I actually, you know what? I believe in learning each other's love languages. So even though I say I hate cooking, okay, which I don't, but say I hate cooking, but your love language is acts of service. Guess what? I'm gonna have to suck it up. Like you said, I'm gonna have to, submit and say, you know what? Because I love you and because you love me back, I'm going to do this thing for you because this is your love language, and I'm going to speak it, and I'm going to show you in the way that you know that I love you. So in
what's your
that
love
way,
language? What's your love language?
You can take the
okay.
test right now.
So we could take the test right now, actually, but I've
Let's
taken it
all
so
do
many
it.
times.
I don't believe in
I
this
would love
bullshit, by the
to.
way. I don't think I'll have a love language at
I
the end
don't
of this, but
I don't
It's
believe in that love language
it's
stuff. That's all
I
crap
gotta
to me.
ask.
There's a whole
I gotta pick at it.
it's
What's your
the
love language?
five love language quiz. You guys can look it up. I think it's fivelovelanguagequiz.com or something like that. But it's very interesting. But for me, it's it's hilarious. But it's touch and
yeah.
time. Basically, spending time with me.
Like yeah.
It's my top two.
Do
The
any
top
women
two.
not want time?
Let
It's
me
there.
I'm
There
genuinely asking.
probably is, but
I'm
I
pulling up the
couldn't.
website right now.
That's just me.
let
I'm
me just
not
call it
speaking.
spade a spade. Let me just call it spade a spade. When women say that they want a man who's there for them emotionally, and I could be wrong, but they're saying that I need a man to validate me. That I need to be sure that he likes me. And when we don't express that, they start to feel like, well, does he like me? And so it's always that they want men to express themselves like females, but the moment we start to do that, they
Well,
start
not
to
for
see
me.
it as females and end up being unattracted to that. So it's like they want the emotion, but when we start to express emotions, they kind of like turn the neck
No,
sideways.
it sounds like she wants her emotions validated while you still stay stoic and don't necessarily show yours.
No,
you keep the
because
ship steady without being emotional, but you validate hers. But I don't think that that's what you guys ultimately want in my experience.
no,
I think
so
you want a man that reins your shit in, not indulges it.
yes,
I
I have to agree with that one. So in the way that you show love and the way that you want to be loved, I would have to learn your language to say, oh, that's how he's.
My love language
that's
is
how
a
I know
sit
he
down,
loves me.
shut up, and sandwich.
so
On a
you're
double. Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Yes.
That's real easy.
right. Some of the love languages can be tied. So I guess for you, Nick, yours would probably be acts of service and words of affirmation.
But it's not for us
What
to
would you say?
guess.
Acts of service or what?
And words of affirmation.
What does that
Those
mean?
Meaning you
Like
need to hear
verbal
me tell you how wonderful you are,
like-
how lovely, how much I love you, and how
Who
proud I
doesn't
am
like
of
that?
you.
Who
Well,
doesn't like
there
that
you
stuff?
go. I mean,
Some
that's the
people don't-
thing.
or
You
not.
ladies talking a lot of
big.
vagues, but like, who doesn't like that?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
not like
for
a
sure.
love language.
Well,
Everybody wants that, right?
Well, if you
No,
don't get
it
that,
is a
this
love
means-
language. It's just which one
It's
is
just
it
being
order?
in love with each other. It's being in a
There's a certain
relationship.
order.
Yeah, they do it in an order.
Who wouldn't communicate with that love language? I'll ask it
Yes,
that way.
that is
I
correct.
think
I
only
like
women
when-
believe in. I think women only believe in love languages. That's like such a female thing. Love language.
It's just so much bullshit. That needs to be reined in by a good man. Get rid of this love
I
language.
have the results.
You got love language.
I have the
Like, we
results
don't go
from
around
my.
doing that.
I had the results of my love language. It went in the order of apparently I love first quality time, which I was like my most,
Who doesn't?
it's just
No,
like
you're
I
right.
love. It doesn't mean that you don't love the other ones. It's just which
You
ones.
women buy horoscopes and shit. You women are so
No.
easy to
That's
sell
what I'm
bullshit.
saying. Y'all be trying to check y'all. I'm
It's
No,
literally
no.
nonsense. Who
Scorpio.
doesn't like that? It applies to everybody.
Scorpio.
It
Everything.
does apply to everybody, but
So
it's,
what are you
it goes
talking about?
into
You're not special.
how
It
much of your
applies. It's
time.
general.
Pretend this was Family Feud. What's the number
No.
one answer?
Yeah, there you go. So
I
it's
don't know.
obviously
I don't
the top
care.
5 answers.
You know
Everybody's
what the
gonna
number
be
one
these.
answer is? It's going to be different when the wind blows. I know that with you ladies.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
Look. We always talk about love languages, but I'm a firm believer in actions speak louder than words. That's why I
Correct.
think love language is a bullcrap. Because your actions, you
Well,
can
you wanna
say
see how-
one thing,
wanna
but
see
your
how
actions
it be-
speak
I'm
louder.
with you, Julius. And I'm the opposite of love language. I want love. Shut the fuck up. Love silence.
I love silence.
Then change my answer. I think
You
Nick,
want love Charlie
Nick-
Chaplin status.
Love zip.
Love
Yeah,
language.
exactly.
Black
You
and
do
white
not
love
also.
love
language is physical touch.
What, Megan?
Yeah, I think I'm figuring out your love language right now.
What you said? What
What'd you
Megan?
say? We couldn't hear you.
Never mind. Doesn't-
Say it. You can say it. Physical touch.
Hey, she's learning. She's shutting up. She's learning.
Yeah, nice. No, Megan, go ahead. Go ahead.
Finally,
Wait,
base.
The way it would work. The way it would work is like if I found out that my future husband's love language was, quality time, the way I would part of how I would show love would be to like take time off and make like time like just for him and just like spend that time with him and like
What if it's the opposite of that? What if he wants time alone?
then you respect time
That's
alone?
interesting, though.
But you
That's
want
true.
quality time. How do you guys work that out?
No, it's like if his love language is quality time.
I know, but I'm saying, what if that's your love language and his is opposite of that? He needs alone time.
Then there's other ways.
Listen,
There's
it
other
all
ways to
it
show
all
love.
boils down to submitting to him, right? Because we're supposed to be practicing and getting used to this
Or
is
he's my
gonna
husband. He
be
can't
long
he can
term.
be sick of me sometimes, but he can't be sick of me forever.
And
If
it's
you
true.
submit to him, he could tolerate you and work with you. If you don't, he's
Absolutely.
gonna get sick of you and kick you out sooner or later.
Yes.
If he's a man
Yes.
of any worth that you would want.
Absolutely. I agree. I have to agree.
Or if his love language is words of affirmation, I would write him like a love letter and stuff.
That's probably not. Listen, my love language is get on my program and let me lead us to success and rein in your crazy ass.
I have to
I thought you were
agree.
gonna say something else. Oh my gosh.
That's my love language. Let me rein in your fucking emotional womanly
Please.
ass that's all over the place.
Okay, I literally thought you were about
Settle
to say
up,
something
baby.
else.
Let's
Oh my
go.
gosh, it's so bad.
But here's what's interesting about that.
You're
though.
about to say something.
Women
Guys,
will
Julius
often
is
say-
talking.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You guys are all good. I'm just jumping in. That oftentimes that women will say they want men to lead, And the moment that we have a way to lead, it's almost like you guys don't want to join that program. So it's
Bingo! That's what I'm
how
getting
can you
at.
get a man to lead, but then you don't want to follow the way he leads?
How can you lead when the woman doesn't submit to what you're saying?
That's why I hate to throw Myron Gaines, but it's true. Women say one thing, but their actions always speak louder.
They actually want the exact. Well,
And guess
women
what?
are literally their cognitive dissonance embodied. I've come to realize. The younger the woman, the more it applies. They have two contradictory thoughts at the same time taking place in their head, and
That's
it's literally
amazing.
insanity. And you guys claim to want one thing, but in fact you want the exact opposite. And you often don't even know that you want the exact opposite. And when a man shows you that at first, oftentimes you guys can react with like a knee-jerk reaction, like, oh, he's an ass or whatever. But deep down inside, you're like, man, there's something about that I just love, and I just can't admit it. I can't ever admit it. But like, I'm going to keep pushing the bullshit and saying I want that, even though that's not going to help me get what I want and be happy. But deep down inside, I admit, like, I do like what he's doing, but I could never, ever acknowledge that or, like, encourage it.
That's
I love it when
bullshit.
he tells me to shut up.
Well, I mean, I don't see a whole lot. What'd you say?
Not yet. Not yet.
I would tell you to shut. I tell my girls to shut up sometimes. Shut
Hey.
the fuck up already. Please stop. She's like, are you even listening to me? I'm like, no, you're talking so much. Do you even listen to half the shit you're saying?
I love it when you tell me to shut up.
No, I can't be expected to keep up with all this. I've done you out at least half the time.
Yeah, I'm not saying a man should do it in an abusive way, but I guarantee you, like, women do. I would argue that there are women out there that do like it when a man is upfront and honest. I'm not saying like
Absolutely.
backhand, I continue a relationship. I'm saying
No.
that they do love it when a man puts their foot down, because
Yes.
oftentimes,
When he
again, they
tells me
want
to
the
sit
man
down.
to lead. You said what, Megan? I
She's
didn't catch
just over
that.
there
We
in
can't
her
hear
little
you, Megan.
world.
It's like when he tells me to sit down and shut up.
That's
I mean-
attractive, yeah, because you need to be reined in. Somebody needs to do it, and nobody ever told you women anything like this. And I've come to realize the harder the girl, the more this applies, because you can just get catered to and worshipped your whole fucking life. So the one dude that can't be bothered to notice you exist, let alone cater to you, let alone talk sweet to you and hold his tongue and not be who he is the one that you find interesting. You find everybody notices me. Everybody caters to me.
How much
I'm
time
gonna
did
make him
you?
notice me. I'm gonna make him want me.
If
And if the
the
guy plays his cards right,
Hold on,
I'll
hold on.
fucking his hand.
What's your question, Jules?
How much time, Nick, did you invest in a woman to figure all of this out? Just wondering.
Countless
Just
women
wondering.
over the years, man.
I mean-
I've had pretty good
then guess
success.
what?
My friends and
Then-
my brother would like tell me, or would attest to that. And so these are just like
Okay.
I learned when I was young, because women.
So knowing that, you just drop him like it's hot. Okay.
Well,
Adios,
I have standards that
goodbye,
I'm not going to
deuces.
tolerate certain things. Yes, absolutely not.
Absolutely. Drop
But,
him like it's hot. But guess what? Going into the new relationship, don't bring that attitude with you, because then everything's gonna go to shit. Like, it's just stop spitting words
hold up.
out of that.
What are you
Hold up.
talking about? What
Hold up.
attitude? I
Yeah,
have
hold up.
I have a few girls that I talk to right now that I'm doing just fine. Like, thank you very much.
A few girls.
I
Okay.
Some of them are watching this right now.
They are. A couple of them probably are.
Hey, what's
So,
up?
I can't speak for Nick. I can't speak for Nick, but I would argue that, for the men who do have experience, like, again, this is why I say men and women are different. But I do want to bring it back to the single mom issue. But this is the reason why I say that men and women are different, because we deal with things differently. So for us, I would argue that this is the reason why when men are not honest in the beginning and they're not able to have a backbone, they will never get the woman, because he doesn't have any backbone to actually tell her what he wants, how it's going to be, all that kind of stuff. When he goes
Right.
along to get along and he's a yes man,
Yes.
after a while she's gonna say no to him. Like, she's not gonna find him
Absolutely.
attractive. She's gonna walk away because he has no backbone.
Well,
So,
here's why. The psychology I figured out beneath that is that women deep down inside know that they're emotionally unstable. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You're to be the nurturer, so you have to be adept emotionally more so than like stable logically. And because of that, knowing that any man that is willing to cater and acquiesce to you is not worthy of following in your mind subconsciously. If he's catering to my unstable emotions, then he's not going to be my leader. So you need to be unwilling to compromise on certain things and have standards and lead the ship. And she'll eventually, maybe she won't come around. She'll resist it forever because of the modern woman status. But trust me, I don't even have any bad relationships with girls that I'm not with anymore. Like, I still feel like I could call them, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's just not,
That's awesome, Nick.
Because they never get this from men. Men are never honest with women. And here's the other thing I've come to learn. The harder the woman, the more this applies. Women, so for all the benefits that you guys get for having like sexuality that you can like trade for resources or whatever, it's valuable. That is a blessing. But there's an opposite side of that that's actually a major, major curse that I think people overlook a lot with you guys. You're never, ever, ever approached for the genuine person you are underneath. Talk to intellectually for like a person, not sexually, not trying to get something out of you, not being fake, not manipulating you and all this. So if and when a man comes along and they actually treat you like a human being and kind of get to know you and kind of joke with you or make fun of you or like accidentally like forget to show up for your first date or stuff like that, like you never get treated like that. And it's just like, this guy's like, he just looks at me as like somebody, nobody. Like, that's refreshing. I'm always everybody's fake to me all the time, trying to get something out of me or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're desperate to have some genuine like interaction, in my experience. The harder the girl, the more that applies too.
Have you guys? Sorry.
Well, sorry, real quick, Jules. I'll pass it to you in a second. This is why I often say that anytime a man has standards, women call that insecure. I would argue that a man is secure when he knows what he wants. A man is insecure when he's not able to tell you what he wants.
Absolutely.
No standards is insecure. Standards actually shows that there's such security that he's willing to say, "Oh no, get the hell out of here." Then.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was gonna say, have either of you guys? Because I know you guys are single. At least from what I gather, have you guys ever either considered the thought or actually have dated a single mom?
I have. No. So let me answer that correctly. I dated a single mom, multiple single moms.
Prior or before or after being a single dad?
Prior and after, and I'm going to tell you this, and this is what's crazy too. This is my own census, right? So my census isn't the universal. My consensus isn't the universal consensus, right? But I can tell you that the youngest I dated a single mom was 18, and the oldest I dated a single mom was 36. And with those experiences, I can tell you it's all the same. It doesn't change at all. And it's not just, well, those are the girls you picked. I mean, one can make that argument, but I would argue that that's not relevant because it's the fact that regardless of the girl who picked, it still comes with the same type of package all the time. What I mean by that, or the same baggage, and what I mean by that is, when I was 18 years old, I dated a single mom who was 32, right?
So, wow.
Yeah, whoa, backtrack. I can't do the math right now. I'm just my
age. So, but when I went to her house, her daughter came out, and at 18, I was like, this is super awkward because her daughter was 14 years old. And it was just really awkward. I'm like, I'm 18 years old. She's 32, and here comes her daughter. I'm like,
you're closer to her daughter's age than hers.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so that was like, it was just really awkward. So like, even like I couldn't comprehend it, but seeing it now from back then, that's what I'm talking about. It's like you got this child who's 14 years old, and here comes a mom bringing an 18-year-old guy to blow it out.
Julius. I don't know. Julius got game.
We didn't do anything, but I'm just saying that that's the idea. Like a 14-year-old child, at that point, they're gonna have some kind of idea of like what it is, and that's not fair to the child, especially the dads out there still kicking around. That's not fair. So when after I became a father, I used to always say to myself, well, I have a kid, so it's best to date a chick with a kid because hey, it's just easier. But then it's like, you don't realize that even with that, if you date a chick with a kid, it's still the same results. You're still a new guy to her child. Just because you have a kid doesn't mean it's going to be equalization all of a sudden. You're still a new dude. You're still a stranger to her kid, and vice versa. So it's like now you got this guy and this girl who both have kids, but they're dating, while both their kids got to go back and forth to mom and dad. They got to be the ones to go back and forth, but then y'all two have a kid, and that kid is mom and dad in the home, while these kids are mom and dad out the home.
Part-time. Correct.
How is that fair? To have
I agree.
This child have a part-time parents, but this child got full-time. Imagine how that makes the first child feels. It's like I'm watching my half brother and sister get a foundation in the home that mom and dad loving, but then they hate each other when they have to go out to the other parent.
Well, not to mention too, bro, You're basically a male, one of a couple males in a polygamous relationship with a woman.
Yeah.
One woman.
You're a cuckold.
Yes.
I would never do that.
You're a cuckold. Cause think about it, right? That
never
one
do
chick
that.
having multiple dudes like pick up the child.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you banged your
Dropping
too?
your
It's
fucking
good
kid
eye.
off to the other.
Yeah.
Dropping your kid off for the weekend to the other guy in her.
So you're saying
Terrible.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Terrible.
Father twin powers activate.
Oh.
so you're saying in
Think
this
of the
situation.
horny guy.
So Julius.
Hey.
So you're saying that for any men who would consider dating a single mom, make sure she's at least either a widow or her baby daddy, you know, is not in the picture, meaning not in the picture as in like he doesn't have any parental rights. She has full custody. He has
Well,
no
that's a red flag too.
That's
Why would
rare.
she make babies with a guy like that?
Yeah, well, so let me explain the widow aspect of it, right? Now, again, here comes the exception. When the man has passed away, right?
You don't got to worry about
I
a
wanna
baby
make
daddy.
this point too. Yeah, but hold on. I want to make this point too because I think this often gets missed. And I thought about this for several weeks now. Just because the man passed away doesn't mean she's like a perfect woman. She could have been a biatch. You get what I'm saying? He just happened to pass away.
She might have
So
killed
that
him. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Jules.
The man still has to
Carol
vet that
Baskin.
woman. Right, but what I'm saying is that
Lorena Babbitt.
well, yeah, but my point. I mean, my point is that well, I mean that's really extreme.
That's worse than killing him. I'd rather you kill me.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
But the point I'm making is that even though he might have passed away, that doesn't excuse the fact that she may have certain traits that still be a red flag.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I
So
guess
when we make this argument of like, well, what if he died? Okay, yeah, he died. That's unfortunate, but that doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden this angel now. Like you're just a perfect woman. You can have red flags still. So just want to point that out.
What if he died? What if she made him kill himself?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how did he die?
I guess of
right?
course though, it's like if she's a widow, you don't have to worry about like a baby daddy. You don't have to worry about the situation where like her kids have to go back and forth between homes. I guess that's the one thing.
You may not have to worry about baby dad, but you still got to worry about red flags.
It doesn't remove the fact that she could be a bad woman, is what he's saying.
That's correct.
It's a nice bonus maybe to not have the man around for sure. But it doesn't mean she's going to be a good fit.
I guess that's when you have to like really evaluate the woman and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You'd have to really be providing or offer
Did you kill
a lot to me to like consider like all the risk. I don't see any upside really.
Hold on, Nick. I was thinking about like the husband still around in spirit. He's like,
oh my god,
his ghost.
He's the cuck. He's a ghost cuck, Julius. He's watching you fuckers as a ghost.
Like,
there you go.
The new guy sleep with her, like pulls the blankets away from them.
Right?
Bend her over now. Oh. The ghost.
Oh my god.
Watching you do it. This is so hot. No homo.
Down ass up.
This is crazy.
No homo.
Listen, I blame American Pie for this. The whole MILF thing. I mean, I don't know about you.
I
but...
mean, look, on a little side note, that normalized.
It
you
just,
gotta think.
yes.
That normalized.
I don't think I've ever heard of this topic prior to that. Just to be real, and I was in high school.
That is true. Yeah, the MILF thing.
You didn't really hear about that.
Side question. Oh, go ahead, Julius. My bad.
I was gonna say the MILF thing it wasn't perpetuated in that movie. It probably was happening before, but it became mainstream once that movie came out, and then you got men watching pornography who look at like MILFs and because they have these fantasies. All pornography is just fantasy. That's all it is.
Quick question about American Pie. Who was the haughtiest woman? Nadia, Tara Reid, redhead, MILF? Who? There's a lot of them to pick from.
I would go with the chick from the first movie.
Nadia.
Yeah.
No doubt. But, dude, before Tara Reid became a total whack job, gross bitch, I actually thought she was pretty fine. She could stand up with Nadia when she was in her prime.
I never thought she was attractive.
I've never
watched
that?
You never? Yeah. People take her or leave her. She's either like you really like her or you're just not into it. I've noticed.
She has a nice smile.
No, she's pretty.
She had a nice body until she got those big fake gross tits.
Yeah.
Nice little petite frame. Major cokehead body. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. the redhead chick, the one who was saying that the band
The
camp
flute
chick.
and the flute and band camp. Yeah.
Yeah,
The flirts.
I mean, she's the host. She was the host or was the co-host of the Penn and Teller.
You're right.
Magic show. She's not that, and she's cool. I think she was attractive.
Ruel said the redhead. Ruel goes for the redhead.
Wow.
Hey, to
The
each their own.
unexpected nerd, right?
Redheads are going extinct.
Real quick, we got half an hour left. Real quick, let me pull up this real quick with the single mother thing. I want to just pull this up real quick and talk about this, and then we're gonna briefly go over Pearl's tweets. But I'm hoping I can share the screen. If it cuts me off, it'll cut me off, but we'll see. So hopefully this doesn't.
If it cuts you off, I'm going home. I'm exhausted.
Don't leave.
Are you at Sancha's house, Nick? Is that what's going on? You're at Sancha's house?
What's
That's
that?
just the side
Sancha?
chicks. Are you at the side chick's house? That's what that means in Spanish.
No, I got my own condo. I ain't in nobody's house ever.
You said you're going home. Just,
Okay, so here's the site from. It's called millennialgentleman.com, and this is 7 reasons why good men refuse to date single mom, and 1 reason why they do. So I won't go into the paragraph because it's pretty lengthy, but I'll just go straight to where it said the reason why. So we'll talk about now. Mind you, I'm not going to read the paragraph. I'm just going to just read what it lists. I'm not going to read the whole entire thing because it's pretty lengthy. Here's the 3.
Is it a man or a woman author? Is it a man or a woman who wrote it?
This is a good question.
that is a good question. I would think it would be a guy, but
Girl, I bet.
This is by Carrie Martell. Now, Carrie.
oh, great.
I don't know. Well, let's click the author and see if who the person is.
Oh, Kerry or Carrie? Because it could be a man or a woman still.
It could.
Carey.
Yeah, that's a woman. I think. Oh, no, that's a man. Carrie?
That's
K-A-R-E.
him?
Well,
Yeah,
no. This could just be a picture, but this could be.
That's
him.
not him. That's not the dude writing this article. No way.
I mean, it says author Carrie Mitchell, but I don't know if this is him or not.
That's the dude that this article's written about. That kind of guy.
Yeah. So I'm not totally sure, but I'll just assume that it's a man, because Carrie sometimes could be a male name. You have.
It's a male. It sounds like a male name. Yeah.
Okay, so it talks about the 3 main reasons, or the 3 reasons why a man will date a single mother. Number 1, as I said before, the man has a low opinion of himself. Now, I won't read the whole thing. I'll read the first paragraph. It says, whether deservedly or not, and tends to believe the only women he can get are those who show him any attention at all. And single mothers as a population tend to be more desperate to get a boyfriend or a new husband to be a provider, so they are more likely to make the first approach, which is very interesting. And mind you, even before I saw this website, this is the thing that I've been saying for quite some time now.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, the man is looking to hump and dump, pump and dump.
That was the first one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Exactly. Single mothers tend to be more promiscuous, often because they are using sex for stress relief. Again, these are things that I've talked about. So
it's a good exercise too.
You know what I mean? If the website's talking about this, then obviously there's some kind of truth to this, right? There must be something. So I've been saying the same thing.
Julius has been saying this for a minute. I've heard these kind of talking points from him for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all from common sense. So anyway,
represent.
Let me go ahead and continue. Single mothers tend to be more promiscuous, often because they are using sex for stress relief and or because they are trying to hook a man into a relationship by using bonds formed with routine sex. Many guys are aware of this and exploit single moms as an easy, cheap date guaranteed to lead to sex. Number 3, the man has had a crush on the woman from before she was a single mom. And it said, this is the reason I dated my last girlfriend who was a single mother. We had known each other as children and reconnected in our 30s. Knowing all of the issues with dating a single mother, I still decided to date her because I had sentimental feelings from knowing her in my youth, and I wanted to, quote unquote, save her. Don't save her.
Whoa!
I don't want to be saved. And so it said from the current predicament she found herself in. I'll read the last paragraph. But in the process of dating it became clear she self-created these predicaments with the same poor decision-making that led her to become a single mom in the first place.
Of course.
So I actually want to kind of continue with this. Immediately, some guys will form crushes on single moms who already were single mothers by the time uh, they met them over a long period of time of knowing her as something like a coworker or acquaintance. But this is more rare in my own anecdotal experience with my circle of guy friends. Primarily, it is a guy who was in love with the chick before she became a single mom, and now that she is available to date again, he has decided this is my chance and goes for it. I agree with
That's
that
a
100%.
great point.
It's so true because oftentimes, like for example, when you like in high school, when you get out of high school, in your 20s, you would meet a girl that you want to talk to, but you didn't have the confidence to talk to her. Then she gets with a guy, she blasts all over social media, and you're like, man, I wish that was me. And then all of a sudden, she breaks up, she announces it on social media, and he's like, oh, cool, and he's like, hey,
Yep.
remember me, kind of
Yeah.
thing, and then when he goes on a date with her, that's why I said oftentimes that women will take these men in because they're single moms. So their standards, I'm not saying they can't have high standards, but they may have to lower it because they have a child, and most men won't go for that. So they have to lower their standards. So they'll take that guy who validates them because the guys they really want are totally ignoring that, and they'll hit it and quit it with no commitment. And so the guy that likes her, she's like, well, I guess I'll take a man if he has a job at least. Like they want to know even a beta male still has financial security. Does he have a job? Does he at least groom himself? Is he not like a total fat slob? You know what I mean? So
Bro, I
take
thought
that
Megan
guy.
was frozen this whole time. Your hand was up the whole time?
Yes.
Hold on, Megan. 1 sec. I'll pass it to you and just say, hold on. We'll go over this real quick and then I'll pass it to you. But yeah, my point is that women will oftentimes take women, single mothers who have a child or children and can't get the man that they really want. They will have to lower their standards to get the guy that tends to validate them. And if that guy plays his cards right, she won't leave him because he knows his boundaries. But even still, dating a single mom is still an issue. But as long as he upholds his manhood, then she won't leave him for another man. So those are the three reasons, right? I mean, there's a lot more to this. There's a lot
Before
to read.
Megan loses her thought, go ahead, Megan.
Yeah,
I was
go
gonna say,
ahead.
this Reddit post. They say some people only go after you whenever like you've hit an all-time high, but nobody talks about the people who agreed to go after you when they've hit an all-time low. Because you were saying how he was always like in love with her, like since like they were very little and stuff, but she was like going after like all these dudes. Now she only agreed to go out with him once. Well, I mean, kids are a blessing from God.
Once she's past her prime and she's hitting the wall of womanhood and she's got some kids and many less offers, much less fertility,
women.
much less youth, and she's realizing I gotta lock somebody down. I'll take the fucking sucker that was obsessing over me all
This
this
reminds
time,
me of that situation.
and I'll give him as little sex as I need to keep him around and appeasing me and taking care of me, and I'll go fuck somebody else when I'm turned on.
This reminds me of that situation I was talking about. How some guy only went after me once he was like after high school until he passed his prime, wasn't going anywhere good. I'm like, I hate those people. So that dude needs to really check himself. I feel bad for him now.
Fuck you to that guy.
I'm not gonna flip anybody off. So
I gave 2, 1 for you.
there we go. That's
So-
my G-rated flip off.
So let me read off real quick the reasons why men don't want to date single moms.
Oh Lord, it's gonna be a list.
I believe it's like 7 or something like that. But number one is he was raised in a broken family himself and doesn't want to repeat the past. So I'll just read this little paragraph. Many men in my generation are from broken homes where our parents divorced. We grew up as firsthand witnesses to the problems in these family structures, and we saw the impact it had on our lives as we grew up. If you had a very negative experience as a child of a single mother who's had men constantly coming in and out of his life, or a bad stepdad that caused drama, and you constantly had to be in the middle of your parents having long, complicated battles against each other, this makes you, as an adult, not want to relive the past. a man has a significantly higher chance of reliving that negative past by dating a single mother compared to trying to form his own family from scratch with a woman who doesn't have children already, which is why I said before that because if a man is going to relive that past, it's because he's coming into her life and that woman's child is watching her cycle through men like it's a merry-go-round. So that's why I say that men oftentimes won't have enough confidence in themselves to actually get a woman who doesn't have a child to build a foundation on. They already want to go to where the foundation is started. It's like it's like a cheat code for men. I don't have to really start a foundation; just gotta join one. I like how I said that too. Sorry, I might pat myself in the back here.
I like that. I like that. That cheat code. You're right.
Yeah, the sentence of a man doesn't want to start his own foundation; he wants to join one.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 2, he doesn't want to be expected to be a parental figure at the start of the relationship. Dating a single mom and having kids involved inevitably means the man is going to be around when the children misbehave. Many moms expect their boyfriend to become authoritative father figures to the children so that mom doesn't have to be. Even if the mom doesn't expect it, it tends to be difficult for a good man to stay quiet if he sees children disrespecting the woman they are dating, and they will want to involve themselves. Because again, men have that natural protector role, so we just want to, protect. This can be very awkward for a guy since it is not his own kids he's having to discipline. So to avoid having to be the other pressure to step into that parental role and involve in such things, all men avoid dating single moms, which makes sense. He doesn't want to be involved in drama with the ex or his family. There's no need to really read that. It's pretty self-explanatory. He doesn't want to be cheated on. So he doesn't want to be cheated on. So it says single moms often try to get back with the father, and that's always a big concern.
Good
Now,
Lord, that's
Baby daddy lurking around.
I get that that's the same thing for women because it's like they worry about whether or not he's going to go back to the mother. I get that too, but that is also a concern from men because again, it's the fact that
they have a
they
history.
broke up and she's going to have she's going to have emotional ties, especially when the guy picks up the children and she's looking at him being all like a good dad. It's like, hey, son. She's like, oh, I messed up. And she's like, do I want to date this guy? You know what I mean? So that can often be probably like, you don't really, I mean, men might get that feeling, but we kind of just.
Do you think it matters?
You said what?
Do you think it matters whether the single mom gets along with the kid's dad or if they don't get along?
Absolutely, because there's always
I want them to get it. I would like. Again, I wouldn't find myself in this situation. I don't think, but you would hope that they would get along enough that the kids don't suffer from their relationship.
Absolutely, that's a good one.
Yeah, and so that's what I mean. That's why I said the whole cuckoldry comes in because he's like watching, like especially if he's like on the phone with you or he happens to be there at the house and you guys decide to like live together. He's like watching the other guy, like pick up the kids. He's like in the house waiting.
Yeah,
and he has to like wait for you. He's in the house. You go outside and it's been like 15 minutes, and he's like, "What are they talking about? What's going on?" Like the insecurity starts to kick in because it's like you're having this conversation. What in that moment that could be potential where you're like, "Oh, I missed this."
The kids come home and they're like, "Daddy, Mommy," they're all over, and then they look over and see you in the corner, and like, "Oh, this dickhead's here."
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, exactly. It's like, wow. And then
this asshole's back again. Great.
Yeah.
When you guys can get back together and get rid of him.
Yeah, and even the biological dad, when the biological dad
shows up, the Parent Trap status.
Well, yeah, you gotta think when the biological dad shows up. And then he picks up the kids and he sees other guy there. It's just weird. It's like,
dude, it's all weird. It's so weird.
It is. It really is. It's unnatural.
This guy's fucking my girl sometimes, even though my girl kind of still shows signs of wanting to be with me. She probably should be with me because we have kids together.
It's the whole cuckold thing. You got two guys wanting the same woman.
And it goes back to
it's a polygamous relationship with the woman being the single instead of the man.
Yeah. Real quick. Let me just move on real quick, and then I do want to read a controversial Pearl tweet. I want to point this out. I think it's very interesting because she said something. I was like, I want to talk about that. I don't agree with Pearl and everything, but anyway, I digress. Number 5. he has other options than to date a single mom. Roughly 50% of women today are single moms. In some communities, such as the African American, 70% of women are born to unmarried mothers. But that means the other half of the female population doesn't have any children. You should take that into consideration.
Wait, did he
Although,
say 50% are single moms?
yeah, 50% of women today are single moms.
What?
Yeah, that's actually true. That's why, again, like these marriages ending in
So sad.
divorce, and then you got single parent homes, and also too, again, a lot of these moms and dads are having children unmarried. So
50% are single moms, meaning the other 50% either has no kids or is married, but I wonder how many of them are actually married. 50% are single moms? Dude, the food stamp thing was 45%. That's alarming. So not only are you dealing with and competing possibly with her baby daddy, you got big daddy government at all times fucking incentivizing her with money and other things. Just stay with me. Fuck that. Fuck these men. Stay with me.
exactly. It says although there are many single mothers in the dating pool, there are still many women without children too, and they tend to be younger than the single moms are. As youth is one of the primary attraction factors for a man, this means a younger woman with no kids is more attractive than the older woman with kids. All other factors, such as personality and body fat percentage, being equal. So an older woman with kids is even less competitive in the dating market. Importantly, men primarily care about these things in a romantic female significant other. One is beauty, personality, and then the baggage. So there's that. So let me just pull this up. Hopefully StreamYard doesn't cut me off because I don't know what the heck is going on. But let me pull this up on Twitter real quick.
While you're doing it, I think I've saved this for the end because I didn't want to be mic dropping, ending the conversation at the beginning. But statistically, single fathers in every relevant category for raising a child successfully are indistinguishable from children raised by nuclear families, mom and dad. And that is the ideal, undisputed ideal for raising children, the nuclear family, mother and father household. A single father, on paper, you can't tell the difference if a kid is raised by a single dad or a nuclear family. That said, a single mother on paper stands out like an awfully sore thumb. They're terrible in every category that you want to measure. So,
That's insane.
single fathers might be desirable when you consider that, but single mothers,
it's obvious that fathers are needed in the home regardless.
Yeah.
And we must absolutely fight to have them in our lives. Like, I legit did not want to get a divorce. I fought for my marriage. I did everything imaginable you can think of. I've gone through other states. I've done it all in order for my kids to have their dad in their lives.
Wow.
I realized he completely did not give a fuck. And I was like, you know what? Eventually, I'm going to have to realize enough is enough. And I did. And I kindly just said, there's the door. And he never came back. That being said, they have their dad in their lives. He has somebody else and they see him with somebody else. When they come to me, they don't see me with anybody else. However, they do see me if in case somebody calls me something like what just happened. But other than that, my when I'm here with the kids, it is exactly 100% of the time with them, and so I'm gonna have to leave in a little bit, but I just wanted to say thank you guys. And I'm just one person. I do not speak for any other woman. I would not dare to even go there. But I do, however, have to say that I do not give a fuck about what anybody thinks or what anybody says. I am a single mom. I have been divorced. I have gone through the worst of worst. Yes, I'm learning as I go. Life is a huge lesson. If you're not learning from your failures, are you even living? That's just my thing. But I yes, I'm a single mom, and hey, if I don't end up getting married again, I'm extremely content with that. Right now, I'm okay where I'm at. I don't need to have somebody, and I don't want to have somebody. But
I don't need no man.
I'm a man.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
No,
Don't
but
twist my
I
words.
was gonna say,
I would-
and I was gonna say, well, first of all, did Megan dip out? Did she leave? She had to go.
Yeah, she did.
Okay. I'm sure she'll write me on Instagram. But I was gonna say, I understand what you mean, Jules, and I get it, but I do think that we as parents, we as single parents, that we do have to realize, and this is what I was trying to make the argument before on Sed's live on Instagram, was that even as single dads, I think our dating pool, uh, it does hinder our dating pool, even though women tend to lean more towards single dad because they see financial, you know what I mean, first, but women don't see physical first, they see financial first. So when a man is financially stable and he's in his child's life, that's a bonus for her. It's like icing on the cake. But men oftentimes get off put by the single mom because you gotta think she can get pregnant.
It's all liability, bro.
That's
There's
what being
nothing
a
to be
woman
gained from a
is.
single mom like that. It's
That's
all
what-
liability for a man.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I'm a woman. Yeah, I can get pregnant.
Right.
I hate to
That's
put it
what I
that
mean.
way, but from a man's perspective, it's just all liability on the surface. Like there's no provisions or otherwise like that are there to be seen that are going to benefit us in any way that makes it worth the potential risk that could come from all this.
Yeah. Last thing real quick, Jules, do you got like 10 minutes to spare? At least 10 minutes to spare?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so I had a tweet for a little while. So this is Pearl's tweet right here. I thought this was very interesting. She said, "Women that are," and my Jim Pearl thing is a YouTuber, millions of subscribers, gets lots of views, things like that, all that good stuff. But anyways, she said, "Women that are single mothers should accept the fact that they are selfish people. It is only accepting the fact that they could potentially change to be selfless. Single mothers choose their feelings over their child's well-being. They did not choose to have a child within marriage. They chose to be irresponsible. They are selfish, not heroes. These decisions ruin society. They raise school shooters, criminals, and men with mental problems. They put their kids at every disadvantage because of their feelings."
Wow.
Hot take.
So she's pretty
Now-
much talking about the single mothers who have not had kids within a marriage, which I can't attest to that. So I maybe she's right. I don't know. I don't know the statistics of these, crazies that go out there and shoot schools, if they have two
that's a good
parents at the
question.
home. So
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. I actually had this article that I saw that I wanted to talk about. This comes from Fix Family Court. Let me see if I got this right. Hold on, let me make sure I went typing it correctly. Okay, this comes from Fix Family. I wish it would pop up on here. Here we go, right here.
You said you like this take of hers, Julius.
I find it interesting that she called them selfish because I can understand where she's coming from. This is why I often say that I find it interesting that when women do get with men that they're not married to and have a child, sometimes they can play victim like, oh, I had a child, I'm a single mom, I deserve all this because it's hard. Because the man, they could have worked things out with the man, got married to him, have a mom and dad in the home, overcome obstacles. That's what marriage is all about. Marriage is about for better or for worse, but women tend to act like everything's supposed to be better and have no challenging times when things get worse. You know what I mean? So I think oftentimes that you have divorces where, and Forbes magazine talked about this too. One of the top 10 things is lack of commitment, financial infidelity, things like that. But oftentimes, you do hear women say, "Oh, he was verbally abusive, so I tried and tried and tried." Well, listen, lady. That's the thing about marriage. It's called for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer.
yes,
There's gonna be obstacles in marriage. There's gonna be a time
it's
when
a
you guys
guarantee.
hate each other. It's gonna happen. But you know what you
Absolutely.
do? You take care of the child. If you guys have a child together, let's just hypothetically say that the man and woman, it's been, I don't know, they've been married for I don't know, let's say 5 years, right? Let's say 7. Let's be married for 7 years, and on that 7th year, they hate each other, right? They're just sick of each other, but they have
Senior
children.
itch.
It's like you got to keep that feeling. Like, I'm not saying bottle it up, but I'm saying like you don't want to bring what you feel towards each other around the child. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you always take care of the child. Hey,
Yeah.
let me go ahead and cook for my kid. I'm going to make sure my kid has this. Focus on the child, and then take care of the house. With like still continue to do your
Correct.
wifely and motherly
Correct.
duties. So then when a child is asleep or when they're at school and you guys have time together, then you talk about it. Screw all that marriage therapy, counseling. Screw all that stuff. They ain't gonna solve
I
your
agree.
problem.
It's a
All they
waste
want
of
is your
money
money.
and time. Absolutely,
Yeah,
I
that's all
agree.
they want. So it's like you go there hoping to get answers, and you want the man to sit there and go, "I'm going to address my feelings." He ain't gonna do none of
It's
that
not gonna
stuff. He's
happen.
like, "Why the heck am I here? I want to be watching football."
Wait,
The heck?
Jules, did you say that from experience that you agree
Yes,
it's a waste of time?
absolutely agree. Well, on my behalf, I can say that it was more for me. It's hilarious how it all happened, Nick. I went literally from the moment I found out that he was cheating on me to the moment that he literally walked out of our lives, was 3 years. I gave everything that I could, and I learned, and I went through all the couples and the intensives and all of the everything that you can think of doing, all the workshops. I did it for us, but in reality, it was me learning and gaining all this knowledge for me to actually put it into practice, because I became a better woman. I became a better mother. And I would like to say that I became a better wife because I showed exactly what I learned and how to be with my husband and how to not that I was going to tolerate, but you know what? This is a both learning experience for me and him, because we've never been through actually this sort of stage of, okay, this is not what you say. We speak like this to each other. I have to respect the fact that he thinks this way and I have to accept this, things like that. And so it was 3 years that I implemented everything that I actually learned. And so I could say that, yeah, I was a pretty damn good wife. I am.
Okay,
And
so it was a
so
waste of time as far as like getting you
as
guys
far
to
as
work it
actually
out, but it wasn't a waste of time for your development as an individual and
correct,
wife.
correct. So if all this information is out there, and of course I didn't know what I didn't know, but every single information you can now, everything you can just pretty much get a PhD from YouTube. And it's something that I was unaware of, because unfortunately the marriage that I was in, I was completely shut out of the world. Like legit, I had no cell phone, had no internet, had no computer, because he was all in control. That's a whole other issue. And I wouldn't have been able to have access to everything that is accessible to anybody that has internet, because I was literally put under a rock just to be home, just to be a mom, just to raise kids, get pregnant,
I mean,
cook.
look, real quick before I read this, I was gonna say it's okay. It's funny you say that, right? I get it. You want to have the free will in your home. I get that. But I think it's interesting that you say, he had control of this and that. But oftentimes, how many times do we on the right say, man, I just want to live off grid, get away from the government, no cell phone. But then it's like when a man does it, it's like, oh, now it's a big problem.
I agree
I don't know. I just
hear
find
that.
it very interesting. It's like when a man does it, it's controlling. But it's like you want to get away from the government. How that any different?
Well,
I mean, I
he
get it
was the
because
one.
free
Yeah,
will,
he
but
was the one that he ended up having 3 burner phones at the end of this whole thing. So he had access to all the internet, all the porn. He was a sex and porn addict.
I mean,
And of
hey,
course, I was at
you're
home.
you're in war with the
Still,
government. Yeah, when you're in war with the government, you gotta have some kind of communication with somebody. So he can't leave away. I'm just saying. I just
whoa.
always find it funny. It's like we always talk about getting off the grid, but then when the man does it, it's controlling. But anyway, let me go ahead.
He literally did it. I'm just saying that's literally what happened. I mean, not that I wanted it that way.
No, I
God,
know.
but I
I'm
completely
being
understand.
facetious.
Totally.
Uh,
Yes.
okay, so let me read this real quick. So this comes from fixedfamilycourse.com. And it says, I don't know when the article was written, but it says fatherless single mother home statistics. Many school shooters are the product of a broken home. School shootings have been increasing, and there are strongly possibilities that this is the product of single parent homes that are fatherless. And I'll just scroll down here where it says single mother home statistics. 37.8% of single mothers are divorced. 41% never married, and 6.5% widows. Brookings Institute, that's where that comes from. It says the strongest predictor of whether a person will end up in prison is that they were raised by a single parent, and that comes from C.C. Harper and S.S. McLanahan from Father Absence and Youth Incarceration. In 1996, 70% of inmates in state juvenile detention centers serving long sentences were raised by single mothers. And that comes from Wade Horn from Why There Is No Substitute for Parents. The
For
proportion
fathers,
of
I should say. They keep saying, at first they said parents, single parents, but I knew it was single mothers, not fathers statistically. I'm glad they added that in that second sentence.
Yeah. The proportion of single-parent households in the community predicts its rate of violent crime and burglary. The community's poverty level does not, and that comes from D.A. Smith and G.R. Georgiora from
Wow.
Social Structure and Criminal Victimization. 72% of juvenile murderers and 60% of rapists come from single-mother homes. That comes from Chuck Colton. From,
Wow.
Whoa! How much percent of rapists?
60%.
Bro,
Jeez,
60%,
that's
over
terrible.
half of the rapists that are produced by single mother households.
Yeah, and that comes from Chuck
Wow.
Colton from
That's
How Shall We Live from Tyndale House in 2004 as a book that was out.
That's
and it says,
nuts, dude. I think most people in society, if you had to guess, you would assume, if anything, it'd be the lack of a mother in their life. Is a single father influence that would cause rapists to come about? No, it's the lack of a father, apparently.
Yeah, and then I'm reading this last paragraph. Growing up without a father could permanently alter the structure of the brain and produce more children who are more aggressive and angry. Children brought up only by a single mother have a higher risk of developing deviant behavior, including drug abuse. That was new research from Dr. Gabriella Gabby, McGill University, and Francis Bill Bamlico from Center of Addiction and Mental Health. It was a publishing in the journal Cerebral Cortex. So the point I'm making is that when children grow up without fathers, it's obviously a big problem. So the question then becomes, again, bringing back full circle, should men date single mothers? I don't think it's logical for a man to do that because, again, it often comes with a lot more problems. Now, if you want to do the biblical principle and you want the man to, I'm sorry, not want, but the man steps in because of the widow, because, again, until death do you part. So when the husband dies, you want to step in. Cool. That's still his choice at the end of the day. If he wants to do that, that's fine with that exception. But overall, with the father still out there kicking around, I don't think it's logical for a man to date a single mom. Now, again, he's going to make his choice at the end of the day. It's up to him. I just think that a lot of the times, especially when women leave the man for something that can be easily fixed. I'm not talking about the physical abuse. I'm not talking about the extremes. I'm talking about, oh, verbally he abused me. Oh, he said these things that made me feel whatever. It's like, well, that's marriage. You're going to get sick of each other at one point. Question is, how do you overcome
How do you
that?
handle it?
Well, they act like they aren't total cunts verbally to him, too. You know what I mean? They always leave that part out.
Both can say these back and forth things like he says something, she says something. And oftentimes I would argue that you do hear women always say he. But what about she?
No, I believe in taking ownership in your side of the street and your bullshit for sure. There's a huge problem.
Just like Megan earlier, man, couldn't come up with a single thing to bring to the table for all the shit that she expects in return. It's a lack of self-accountability, self-awareness. And I'm not even faulting women for this too. Well, I'm trying to bring it up to make you guys accountable and aware of it now. But they're raised into this like entitled Disney princess. You're the world. Everything's supposed to be given to you for absolutely nothing in return from you. You should expect everything from men. Men are shit unless and until they give you everything.
Terrible.
And if they're not giving you everything all the time and making you happy and you're super fucking loving life and going on vacations and whatever, then just dump his ass and get food stamps or move on to the next guy.
Yeah.
Fuck your kids. Fuck everybody else. Fuck him. Fuck your families. Do what makes you happy in the moment.
That's why I found it interesting when women say, you know, a man has to prove his worth. I'm not saying that he doesn't or that he shouldn't, but I just always find it interesting to me that it's like women will say that men have to prove their worth, but what is she proving to us? And that's what I always find interesting to me. We got to prove our worth. We have to come pre-assemble. But what are they proving to us? That's why I think oftentimes women have this kind of entitlement attitude where it's like, and again, I'm not bashing women. I'm just saying that this is the mindset that, mind you, I saw this tweet on Twitter about a woman saying that a man has to prove himself, right? So it's like we have to prove ourselves, but what does she bring to the table? And oftentimes it's I just have to show up. Like I watched, Osaze from the Desirable Truth ask these women about what do they bring to the table, and it's like, oh, well, just me. I show up. It's like just their mere existence should be enough for men. So why is that you have to just sit?
Not only one, but two.
I know. I know. Double trouble, right? So it's like we have to do all these things, like to climb the mountain, go through all this trial and tribulation just to prove our worth. And all she had to do is stand there, like, and just existing. Just
Well, you know what they prove,
it's hilarious.
You know what they prove? They're worthless.
And that is, in fact, proving their worth, literally.
They have no worth aside from some pussy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Burrell says in Islam, this is why men can have 4 wives. Yeah, I mean, Islam does practice that. In America, we do practice monogamy, but again, people want polygamous relationship in America, but I would argue if polygamy was, and this is probably a terrible argument, but if polygamy was such a thing in America, then why is it all of us grew up with mom and dad, not dad and hella moms? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like in one household, I'm trying to say.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of increasing your odds nowadays, keeping them all in competition with each other on their best behavior. There seems to be potential benefits from it.
Well, yeah.
Nothing else seems to work.
Well, it's different. It's different when you have options like that as a single guy. I get that, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, we tend to want to build a foundation where it's mom, dad, and child. Again, you want your child to be sane. And I don't see how you can keep them sane by having unless you're practicing Islam, you practice that's whatever that's the religion.
In the same house and everything. That'd be the only way I would consider it. Exactly, like one big family of aunts and or extended mother, whatever they call it. But like, something like that.
Yeah, but in America, it's a lot different. We just practice different things, just how it is. And
I just wanted to point something out real quick before I go. You were going down that list and the statistics of how important it is to have a father figure, a man, really, in a child's life. So according to those standards, then why wouldn't a man want to date a single mom to be exactly that
because
father figure?
We want our own kids, and it's all risk.
Yeah,
we can put ourselves on the line to do that for a family, for her and her kids, but we're not getting anything from it. It's a lot of risk with no foreseeable reward.
But that could possibly be one less, statistic. Really?
Well, I'm going to become a statistic and be unhappy at that point.
And also too, before we wrap this up, I was going to say I understand what you mean, Jules, because you're basically saying that why can a man step in to prevent these statistics from happening, right? But that's the thing is that it still comes with all risk and reward because it's not our child, so we really have that authority over the child. We can be a role model, we can try our hardest, but I think this is why I used to always say that men are like I would call them stepdads. I call them trans dad because they're trying to be something that they're not. They can never be the biological father. They can try hard all they want, but they can never. Even if that father is not there in jail, it doesn't matter. That child should get to know their biological father so that they can understand them and they have their identity of who they should be. When you have another man, it's like. Now you have that personality, and it's a whole different wave of identity, right?
You don't love him. There's no inherent love. You're not his blood. Like you may never grow to love him. You may resent him forever. It's just not the same thing. It's all I don't know. Seems to very risky.
And mind you, this is not to say that there are not men out there.
Correct.
I've seen videos. This is a long time ago. I saw a video where this young girl. They posted this on Instagram. This was a long time ago. But this young girl was the father was out the life, and this new guy came in, and she basically wanted to call him dad. He was a stepdad, and I guess it was like his birthday or something. So she surprised him by wanting to call him dad. He broke down in tears. I get that because he's probably a good dude, mind you. I had an ex whose mother that dated this guy, and mind you, they were high school they were high school sweethearts, and then they broke up, and she got with somebody else, had 2 kids with that guy. But then things didn't work out, and then she got back with her high school sweetheart and ended up becoming a stepdad. So I'm not knocking that thing bad. I'm just saying that I met this guy before. He was a good dude. He passed away, unfortunately. good dude. Like, I mean, a real good dude. But I even saw that. I saw that aspect of that life where he could never be that kid's dad. He was a good dude, like nice guy, funny. You know, if he was alive today, he'd be a Trump supporter. Put it like that. Real good dude, like really good guy. Like,
He's all right in my book then.
no, he was based. Like he said what he wanted. Like he was just a really solid dude. But I saw that dynamic in the home is that he can never be the kid's father, and he had kids of his own. So imagine that. It's like, where's your priorities lie? You got kids of your own while taking care of somebody else's kids. How do you balance that out? So I'm not saying it can't work. I'm saying that's always the challenge, right? Now, some can say, well, men should be able to rise to the occasion. But I think it's better to start your own family than to try to join somebody else's. That's
you have the option to do that. No contest, it's better. But many men don't. And that in mind, if I were a single mom and I wanted to land a man, I'd be strategizing, looking for some losers.
No.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's what it comes down to. Like that's why women will have to lower their standards. I mean, I hate to say this, but
no.
It's like if you have a situation where you're going back to the person that you used to date, that's lowering your standards because you're going back rather than moving forward. I can be wrong on
the losers, ladies, learn to love the losers.
No, I'm good. I'd rather not have
losers
anybody.
need love too.
But women do that anyways though, because you gotta think if you have a kid or you have kids, you're not gonna get the guy that you really want because he's gonna think I got options. Why should I settle for you? So you're gonna have to settle for a guy that's not top tier. That's what it comes down to. Like he basically it's like you're gonna have to settle for a beta male, but it's maybe like the highest, beta male.
Go for the best beta buck you can get. You want to get a beta that's willing to provision for you and could do so somewhat as best you could get. Just land the best beta buck.
That's terrible.
But that's what happens though. You have to lower your. If you have high standards, those men will not you specifically, but those men won't date single moms. The top tier men won't date low tier women. So women will have to lower their standards in order to get that top tier relationship. That makes sense. You have to lower your standards to get a top tier relationship. And that guy, maybe the guy that he might, have some masculinity, but it's gonna come with some challenges because he's not only just dating you, there's you and then there's also the kids. And oftentimes it's like, well, dang, what do I do when we go out to, somewhere? If we go out to eat, what happens when you do bring your kids? Does he have to pay for all of them? Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like there's that, he should pay. But it's like now he's obligated to pay for all your kids at Golden Corral.
That's food money out of the mouths of his kids. If you're paying for her kids instead of your kids, that's literally food out of the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear that.
But Jules, I just gotta say, since we're wrapping up the show, you're always a super good sport and you bring a lot of great content. You're entertaining, you're enjoyable to have a conversation with, enlightening. So we appreciate having you.
Yep.
I'm just here to look pretty.
Well, you've done that successfully. You're doing more than that. You're bringing conversation.
All I gotta do is just look pretty.
Nice, Julius.
My mere existence should be enough for men. See? Rest my case.
I mean, you know what? Hey, you said it, not me. I'm just.
Your actions speak louder than words.
I love you guys. No,
likewise.
It's always entertaining, and it's very interesting in the fact that I love. It's like I need you guys in my life. I need you. I need to hear your perspective. I really do. It's very interesting. Obviously, I'm always gonna be here for you guys. Like, if I'm the only woman standing for the men, like, so be it. Because women absolutely need to just stop being snitches, and Hey, for a second there, it was the age of women when both of y'all weren't even showing up.
I didn't allow that, Julius. They tried to have a movie. It did not happen.
That's already happened one time before with me and Rosita. I'm just saying it could happen again. I don't know.
There is no age of women occurring on my watch, ladies.
It's happening. I'm just saying.
We took down the W and the O.
Yeah, it'll be the age of death before I let the age of women come about.
No, listen, I'm gonna keep a D around as long as I can. I'm just,
Awesome.
I
Number
love
19.
men. I love men. What can I say?
Represent.
Yeah, so there's definitely gonna be. We'll definitely have a part 2 for sure.
Yeah.
I think next week I would love to have a conversation about should women date single men.
That's what I was
And we'll
wondering about. Great cliffhanger. Good idea.
Yeah, and then we'll read the stats on that and see, who fares better.
You
Who's the
mean
fairest?
should single moms
Fairest of
date?
them all?
That's the fairest.
So on that note, we do appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching.
guys.
I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties. Crazy stuff, but this is why you guys
Just
support.
another reason to help support. Exactly. Boom.
Yeah.
Every cent that we get would not go to anything but making this show a better production. So rest assured with that, folks.
I'll
Any
make
money
sure
that
of
comes
it.
in,
I'll
you're
be
going to
on their
get better
asses
quality.
about it.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys share this out. If you guys like certain parts of this stream, you want to clip, you can clip it. Just make sure you guys tag our names in it, and we will share it on our page and get it out there, and also boost you guys' social media page. So you help us, we help you. So we appreciate that. So make sure you guys are following us on all the social media platforms. Links are down below if you want to donate to help us out, because we are 100%. We were funded. Without you guys, we'd be nothing. So we'd be age of 0. Age of
death. Age of death.
Yeah, the age of death. So you guys want to help out, you want to donate, links are down below. You have any questions or any content you want to show us, you can always email us, or you can send us a DM on Instagram.com/ageofmen podcast. Also too, if you want to be a guest on the show for any topics that you want to talk about, you can always, again, just DM us and let us know. So appreciate you guys. God bless. And also, too, for those on Rumble, those guys watching the Rumble as well, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm not going to forget you guys on Rumble. Shout out to you guys. If anybody is watching, do hit that like button and definitely follow. So we appreciate that. Yeah. Tap it like Jules always says. Appreciate you guys. God bless. And we will see y'all next week. Have a good one, guys.
God bless you guys.